Please rise.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to the Des Moines County Board of Supervisors meeting, December 13th, 2022. Are there any changes to the agenda?
I have none.
I have none. What about you, Sarah?
I have none.
Okay. Move on and meet with department heads and elected officials. Sarah Doty, payroll clerk for the auditor's office.
Good morning. Just keeping busy working on payroll this week. We do have the new county website up and running. I'm sure Colin will update a little bit more, but if you are subscribed to receive our notices, there's a new link you need to go subscribe to. It's listed at the bottom of the agenda here, so
Okay,
that's it.
okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Colin Gertis, IT.
Just keeping busy like always. Yeah, we did officially launch the new website there last week, so that's pretty exciting. Been doing some training and stuff with the department heads on their pages, but other than that, nothing really new to report.
Like that bridge.
Yeah,
Yes.
I like that shot. It's a pretty good shot.
Good shot. Thank you. Terry Johnson, County Auditor.
Good morning. Just keep them busy. We finally buttoned up the election on the state website last week, but we still have lots of cleanup, things to put away and organize and take care of. Janelle is not here this morning. She had to go pick her child up. He was sick, so she just wanted me to mention that they have closed their application process and they'll be reviewing those soon, so
Okay,
that's for the treasurer.
okay, thank you. And thanks for beating Georgia
Georgia.
on getting your election.
Oh,
Wow.
yeah.
Just, never mind.
Yeah, yeah, never mind. They have their own issues.
Ken, how's the seal region doing?
Good morning, it's going well. Tomorrow is a lot of our stakeholder and governing board meetings are tomorrow in Mount Pleasant, and then the next day is management team all day in Mount Pleasant, so I'll be out of the county for a couple of days, but everything's going well, just normal business.
Seal region buying the trust board dinner tomorrow, are they?
Not that I heard.
Oh, okay, well, you took over a meeting room.
That's true, we should sometime.
Okay, thanks, Ken.
Thanks.
Lisa, how's the attorney's office?
Nothing new to report, just staying busy and putting out fires from trash cans to dumpsters.
Can I interrupt for just a moment?
Sure.
I got a phone call from Bob Starr yesterday. It seems he's going to be returning as a
Oh,
reporter.
lucky you.
Yeah, anyway, so he told me, he said that he wouldn't be here today because he had jury duty.
Yes.
And I said, I'm gonna tell the county attorney that you might be armed. And he laughed because he thought I was kidding. So I just told you. So if you guys have to throw him to the ground and give him a cavity search up there in the courtroom, probably be well within your rights.
Do we have a motion? Video on that?
The courtrooms, firearms are not allowed, so we will let
Keep an eye on it.
the sheriff and their crew handle that. But yeah, we do have a trial going on today. Terry would have began jury selection about 5 minutes ago.
Thanks, Lisa. Brian Carter, Secondary Roads.
Good morning. Gonna try to go back to ditching until the rain shows up today, and doing some other minor maintenance stuff. Contractor's still working on the bridge, so things are still moving. See how long the weather plays along. So, working on budget, progressing like about everybody else. So, other than that, we're good. I do need some input from you guys. It's no rush, but I'd like to see what the board's thinking about trying to gather any sort of input for that sea level request that we received last week from Mr. Wirt. In the past, I've sent letters basically to adjacent landowners, and then let's face it, they all but one signed a petition. But at least making them aware that we've received the petition, and that if they have any questions or comments, you know, here's the policy, here's what's being proposed, just so they see it again, that kind of a thing. Do you guys want anything beyond that? Do you want any other landowners notified or something beyond that? Because normally what I do is I just put a letter together and say, we're working towards this, if you're interested, let me know, and when we have the dates set up, I'll make you aware, or if you have comments, you can contact the board of supervisors or me or that kind of a thing. It's been a while since I've done it, but I just didn't know if you guys had anything specific in mind before I moved forward with something.
I don't have anything specific. I think everybody really lives in that area pretty well. You've got covered on that, so they all know about it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel it's important to go ahead and send a letter at least to the adjacent landowners, just because the petition was signed this summer, and it's been a stretch of time, and maybe somebody's changed their mind and they wanna share that. I mean, so I think that's important. I didn't wanna undershoot if you guys had something else that you wanted me to do as far as neighboring landowners, 1 mile area, something, I don't know. I'm not saying any more than you guys want me to send.
Your usual letter sounds fine to me.
Okay, I'll work on that and get it out there so it can land in people's laps over the holidays and give them a while to get back to us and stuff, so. Probably be next week, but I'll put something together. I'll let you guys, I'll scan and email it or drop it off in your desk or something so you know what I send out.
Put Shane's phone number on that in case they got a complaint.
Absolutely. Home address, phone number, parties, appointments.
Put Terry's on there because she's not gonna be here.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Chris Lee, Conservation.
Good morning. So I guess I just have one thing from our board meeting last week. You couldn't make it, so we were going to present you with this certificate of appreciation there, but I'll do it here. So as I've been told, Shane's gonna take over your spot as liaison to the board of supervisors, and so me and the board wanted to present you with this certificate of appreciation for your service to Des Moines County Conservation as liaison to the board of supervisors and all the work you've done being a champion for conservation parks the last few years.
Thank you, Chris.
Other than that, that's good about all I got.
Appreciate that. Thank you. Betcha. Zach James, Regional Planning.
Yeah, good morning. Not a whole lot new going on. It's been a little slow with kind of permits and subdivisions, things like that. We do have a kind of a backlog of subdivisions to get recorded, just waiting on some attorneys to get some things set up. But other than that, still moving forward on wind and solar ordinances. I got a couple calls with some folks set up this week just to do some review through that. I don't know if you guys still want to try and do a work session like next week, or if you want to wait a few more weeks and do something after the holidays, or.
Let's wait till after the holidays.
I agree,
That's
things
fine
are
with
starting to
me.
get crowded.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then we're gonna have budget hearings.
I started going through some of that stuff and actually got a phone call in for.
Yeah, Jordan said you'd talk to him a little bit,
Yeah,
so that's
well,
why, that's kind of why I was
well,
asking it. I thought maybe you guys might want to wait, so, and that's fine.
Bonding requirement.
Yeah. Other than that, nothing else really new to report.
Okay, thank you. Now, go back to Krista, Public Health.
Good morning. Just want to remind everybody that we're seeing a lot of upper respiratory things going out in the community as well as the schools. And so, again, the same old thing as far as, good hand washing, staying home when you're sick, because we are seeing that rise. We are still giving the flu shots. It takes about 2 weeks to get the antibodies, but we're just getting into the prime flu season. So we are seeing influenza A out in the community as well. So we give flu shots on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Okay, thank you, Krista. Angie, Safety Department.
Good morning. We're just keeping busy. Unfortunately, that's never a good thing. Kevin's not here today. I know, we all know that our jail numbers are up. And we always see increases out there when that happens, so I've been seeing some stuff going on out there.
Okay, thank you. Rodney, Maintenance.
Good morning. We had our website training yesterday, so I'm pretty sure I've already forgot half of what we went through yesterday, but,
You mean, you saying Colin's not a good teacher?
no, it wasn't him.
Oh,
He,
okay.
he sat in on it so he can remind me of all the stuff I'm gonna forget, so. We haven't had our own page before, so, just something new, learning, we're gonna have to work through, so. Been lucky enough to have Colin and the auditor's office to help us with a few things that, when we did have things to post, so. I appreciate their help, we're kinda on our own page now, so, we got a few things set up on there already, that the designers kind of put together, so it's just something we're gonna continue to work on, so. If anybody sees anything that we may need on there, or they would like to see on our part of the website page, just let us know. Other than that, have a work session after the meeting.
You know, you could delegate that to Jack, let him take care of that.
That's
That would
the
end all your
plan.
problems for you.
That's part of the plan.
I think Jack's got a bad attitude this morning.
Okay. Moving on to correspondence. Do either of you gentlemen have any correspondence?
Have none. I do not.
Yeah, we got one here from regional planning. It says here, thank you for your membership with Southeast Iowa Regional Planning. We truly appreciate the opportunity to have served Southeast Iowa for the past 49 years and look forward to serving you into the future. The board is composed of 19 members from 4 counties. County reps for the 2 largest cities in each county, 8 private sector members appointed by public representatives, 4 workforce development, 1 Southeast Community College, 1 Iowa Wesleyan University. Your current board member is Jim Carey, Southeast Iowa Regional Planning Board member, and appointed annually with terms expiring January 1, 2023. Please name a board appointee completed to approve attached resolution and send to Southeast Iowa. Attention, Sherry Jones. Your appointment will caucus with the other 2 Southeast Iowa regional representatives of your county name. The private sector representative for the board, your current private sector representative is Tim Fensel. It is encouraged that you appoint forms and received by Southeast Iowa Regional Planning January 15, 2023. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact the Southeast Iowa Regional Planning Executive Assistant, Sherry Jones, by phone 319-753-4322 or email sjones@seirpc.com. Sincerely, Mike Norris, Executive Director.
So you guys just need to decide who you're gonna appoint, and then we will complete that resolution and get it on the agenda.
I don't think there's any doubt that Jim's performance earned him another term.
And Jim, there is another letter back behind there from something else.
Yeah.
You have 2 correspondence. There's another letter back there. So anyway, so we'll work on that resolution then, so then that way we can get Jim in there.
Congratulations, Jim.
Yeah, congratulations, Jim.
I was gonna say, I like how
Officially
she quickly changes the subject so he don't even get a chance to complain.
Congratulations, Jim.
Anybody hear a freight train go through here? Okay. We do have one here from the Burlington Area Homeless Shelter. It says, Des Moines County Auditor's Office. Our mission at the Burlington Area Homeless Shelter is to provide shelter and support to those who have become in need of temporary housing in Burlington and the surrounding areas, while maintaining the dignity and respect of the persons. BAHS provides meals, shelter, budgets, and personal goal planning, household assistance, and homeless bag outreach program. The staff at the BAHS partners with those in need to establish themselves as self-supporting and successful members of the community. All services provided by our nonprofit organizations are available to the people without bias of any characteristics protected by law. Homeless status, Iowa Homeless county level data book 2022 entities for community alliances. In 2019, 217 people experienced shelter homeless in Des Moines County. In 2020, 328 experienced sheltered homeless in Des Moines County. In 2021, 343 experienced sheltered homeless in Des Moines County. BAHS statistics, December 21, November 22, we provided 1,141 nights of service. January 2022 to November 2022, we provided an additional service to 234 people. As I've looked into these numbers and listened to the stories of people struggling, it would be easy to feel despondent. But with the fierce spark of determination, community pride, and good old-fashioned Midwestern resilience, I have hope for a brighter tomorrow. This is fueled by the outpouring of love and support I have seen from our community since I have started as the new executive director of the BAHS back in August. However, there is still a great need in our community. As prices and cost of living goods goes up, we have seen a dip in our donations. I humbly ask that you send a monetary donation to the Burlington Area Homeless Shelter. Donations may be tax deductible. We are entirely funded by donations from local individuals, businesses, groups, and the Burlington and West Burlington area United Way. We have an estimated budget of $183,037 for 2023. Please help us carry on our mission. We are only able to do what we do thanks to the generosity and support of people like you. Thank you sincerely, Amanda Smaley, Executive Director. Take that into consideration, people. Okay, moving on to discussion and vote. We have payroll reimbursement claim in the amount of $868,000, or let me back off, drop that thousand. $868.99. Non-cashable was $120.77.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Sarah Marie?
Tom Broker,
Yes.
Shane McCampbell,
Yes.
Jim Carrey.
Yes.
Threw me off when he said my middle name.
That was a smooth move.
Trouble.
That means he wants your attention.
Right.
That's what her mother used to say.
Oh.
Sarah Marie, you cut that out.
I think these coffee mornings with my father are gonna be stopping soon.
True. Okay, we have a resolution, 2022-076, approving Dankworth Park Playground funding. Whereas Des Moines County, Iowa has been requesting and pledged financial support for the improvements of the Dankworth Park Playground located in Burlington, Iowa, and whereas the residents of Des Moines County would benefit from such improvements. Therefore, with the understanding and reliance in the agreement to the advertisement above, be it resolved, Des Moines County pledges and commits $50,000 in fiscal year 23 to the Dankworth Park Playground project.
Motion to approve. Second.
Sarah?
Shane McCampbell,
Yes.
Tom Broker,
Yes.
Jim Carrey.
Yes.
Where's your, is it still true your name in the bathrooms after Tom?
Under consideration.
I'll bet it is.
Now we have a resolution 2022-077, setting the date and time for the fiscal year 23 budget amendment. The Board of Supervisors hereby fixes the time and place for the public hearing on the fiscal 23 budget amendment for Tuesday, January the 3rd, 2023 at 9 a.m. in the boardroom for Des Moines County Courthouse. The Des Moines County Budget Director is hereby directed to publish the notice and estimated summary as required by law. The resolution shall take effect immediately.
Motion to approve. Second.
Sarah?
Tom Broker,
Yes.
Shane McCampbell,
Yes.
Jim Carrey.
Yes. Hey, I'll give you mine. See that white paper?
Yes, sir.
Won't be lost about that. Now we have a resolution, 2022-078, approving the Capitol Theater funding request. Well, I'm reading today, I'm not used to this. Whereas Des Moines County has been requested to pledge financial support for the improvements to the Capitol Theater located in Burlington, Iowa, and whereas the residents of Des Moines County would benefit from such improvements. Therefore, with the understanding and reliance and agreement and the advertence above, be it resolved that Des Moines County pledges and commits $5,000 in fiscal year 23 to the Capitol Theater project.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Sarah?
Shane McCampbell,
Yes.
Tom Broker.
Yes.
Jim Carrey.
Yes. Now we have a request for suspended mobile home taxes. This comes from Fraser's office. Deb Moore says, the mobile home above in the partial delayed for taxes. This is in with, to do with, yeah. So what's your wishes on this, gentlemen?
DHS, that's
Yeah.
suspending on the
Yeah.
taxes that we do when they sell or
Yeah.
that property or that individual becomes able to make those payments. Motion to approve.
Second.
Sarah?
Tom Broker.
Yes.
Shane McCampbell,
Yep.
Jim Carrey.
Yes. Sad situation when that happens.
Yeah.
Okay, now we have appointments, township clerks and trustees. I think we'll sign these after the meeting, after we go through it. We'll approve all these at once, but I will read. We have the township request for appointment for Benton County. Is Gary Kester. We have the township for Concordia County, town clerk. This is for Christine Horn. We have the Danville Township Clerk, Deanne Parrott. And we have the,
Did we have two for Danville?
yeah, we got another here, it's right here.
Okay. I mean,
We have another for Danville, for the trustee, is Matt Parrott. And we have Flint River Township. We have, the trustee is Ted Horn. We have the Flint River Township, the trustee is Doug Beckman. And we have the Flint River Township for the clerk, is Cody Piper. And we have the Franklin Township for the trustee, is Ed Gerst. We have the Franklin Township for the clerk, which is Dan Eberhard. We have the Kieran for the trustee, which is, Ken, and I can't read the last name, Fritz?
Looks like Fred, Kevin Fred.
There must be somebody new.
I don't know.
There's several new ones in there.
They write like I do.
No, you're fine.
There are some Fritzes.
Fritz
I
is,
mean, I
looks
don't know
like
if that's
Fritz.
it, but
Did you say it was Union Township?
Friending?
Here in Township.
Karen? Oh.
I think that'd be more Union than Fritz, but I don't know, maybe there's.
You know, Tom, you write bad. Can you read that?
Hey, look at the paper behind it.
Branding. And
Frank, anybody can read that.
his email address says franking.
Pleasant Grove for the township, Dan Messer. Pleasant Grove for the clerk is Melissa Tucker. Tama Township for the clerk is Randy Flum. And Union Township for trustee is Don Brewer. And Union Township for the clerk is Erica Brewer. And Washington Township for the trustee is Robert Moore. And that completes them. And we shall sign these afterwards. if you-
Motion to approve the appointment of the preceding townships, clerks, and trustees.
Second.
Sarah?
Tom Brooker,
Yes.
Shane McCampbell,
Yep.
Jim Carrey.
Yes.
And I'd like to say this is 2 years ago is when the second half of the townships, it was on the ballot whether to appoint or elect, and all those townships went to appointing, so. So that is, all of the townships now will appoint their trustees and their clerks, and there's quite a few new ones on there, so they're actively finding them, so it's working.
Thank you. Okay, we have personnel action for the sheriff's office. Lynette Van Sock,
Vince Coy.
Boy.
Soy, resignation, November the 25th, 2022. The effective date and the final rate of pay was $52,131.89.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Sarah?
Shane McCampbell,
Yep.
Tom Brooker,
Yes.
Jim Carrey.
Yes.
Thanks for service.
Now we have reports. We have the jail stat reports here for October of 2022. These will be on file in the auditor's office for the viewing of your own discretion. And we have the minutes for the regular meeting on December the 6th, 2022.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Sarah?
Shane McCampbell,
Yes.
Tom Brooker,
Yes.
Jim Carrey.
Yes. Any other business?
I have none.
I have none. Future agenda items. We have work session coming up. I don't think next week, I think, not at all.
No.
Next week. Okay. Committee reports.
I'll be report next week.
I attended Road Grader Burlington meeting this morning, and each department's busy approving budgets. And I attended the CIT meeting last week, and those are always interesting discussions with the problems. And we've got at least, and I think you've probably heard it, that there's maybe half a dozen folks with ongoing problems, that don't want treatment, that created that up.
We have about, I would say, 6 to 10 that we see a lot.
Yeah.
Whether it's committals, whether it's police calls. But there are 6 to 10 that we struggle with.
Yeah, I've looked at that a little bit at places, and I've sent some stuff to the SEAL region CEO, and they're looking at that too, about not necessarily commitment, but involuntary treatment. That there's, each state has got a little different laws, and they're applied a little bit differently. So it's a shame to have somebody out there who's not thinking very clearly or has little insight into their own condition, and just to leave them out there to, yeah.
Well, and it's gonna be interesting to see what happens in the city of New York. Because their language, I don't think, is a whole lot different, but I think they're taking a much more liberal interpretation of what danger to self is. And it'll be interesting to see how that flies in New York.
I saw that Mayor Adams is wanting to address that.
Because we have one case where right now he's doing well. He was in an RCF for a period of time. He's since been released back into the community. He's doing well right now. But law enforcement was called downtown repeatedly. But the problem was he didn't fit the criteria of being suicidal or homicidal. And so, and then finally there was an incident where he was naked, completely naked, and it was about 30 below wind chills. So the doctors really kind of took a more liberal interpretation of that as to, okay, he's a danger to himself because he's not understanding you can't be completely naked on Jefferson Street in sub-zero temperatures. But prior to that, law enforcement had been called 50, 60 times. And they would take him to the hospital would say he's not a danger to himself or anyone else, and he would be released. And 2 hours later, it was just a vicious cycle. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in New York, how they deal with some of the civil rights issues, because I know that's already in the works. But it'll be interesting to see how that broader interpretation of danger to self ends up being interpreted by the courts, and then what Iowa ends up doing with that. Because right now, I think our doctors and our medical staff regard it as they're not suicidal. Whereas clearly their mental health condition makes them a little less insightful into taking care of their own basic needs. And how far that interpretation goes. I think a lot of states are gonna be looking at New York right now and Mayor Adams' approach to this very, very closely to see how far we can go with that interpretation. Or how we rewrite codes to more broadly define it so we can address the issues of that 6 to 10 people where that seems to be that little crack that they fall into. If they're not really hurting anybody, they're not really hurting, and I'm using air quotes, hurting themselves, but they are in a very indirect sort of way because they can.
If I had a family member, I would not want them going outside naked and 60 degrees.
That
weather, let
particular
alone
person
30
has
below.
no family. He's pretty much on his own. So it truly was incumbent upon the system to address those needs. Like I said, he is back several people have seen him fully dressed, appropriate for the weather, so we'll see how long that lasts. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what happens in New York.
It was an interesting anecdote, and I don't.
And we have another young lady who doesn't seem to like to wear clothes.
Yeah. I don't know if it was in California, but for years and years and years, she was on the streets, and they tried to treat her on the streets, but give her, you know, her own freedom and stuff like that. Somehow or another, she ended up in treatment, and she's well now, so she ran into the person that was treating her on the streets, and he thought he was gonna be thanked. And she said, "You left me on the streets for 10 years. How dare you?"
Wow,
Wow.
wow.
And it's one of those things that there are multiple issues to deal with.
Wow.
Is it mental health? Is it substance abuse? Is it housing? Is it, and it's hard to take a one spot fixes all. Because I think even each of those 6 to 10 people, their issues are very different.
Civil liberties come into it.
But yeah, but the one who, he doesn't have anything, so it really is the system who has to end up taking care of it.
You know, there's still a lot to be said when they had the county home out here. A lot of them people, when they put them in the county home, they had nurses on staff, they could tell when it was going on. To me, I still think that, I agree with setting the ones out in this, 4 to 6 bedrooms where it's at, but the county home still has a place. And because they had nurses on staff, they had people there to take care of them, and they could tell when these people were getting this way. My first wife was a nurse out there, and they had 90 people out there at one time. And then when they decided to close it down, they had to find places for these people. Some of them people ended up out on the street, but they was happy out there.
Yeah, it was a good safety net back in the
It
day.
really was, really was.
No, we
Okay.
just do the best with what we have. And like I
Yep.
said, I know everybody, I think, is keeping an eye on New York City just to see how legally that all transpires, because I know there's already some questions about civil rights issues and those sorts of things. So it'll be interesting to watch that and see how it unfolds and how other counties can pick and choose what parts of that may work for them.
Thanks, Lisa.
Okay. Time for public input. Anybody from public has anything to tell us and wanna know, they can call 319-753-8203 extension 4 or email board@dmcounty.com. We'll give you 2 minutes to do that. Does anybody in here have anything?
I want to thank the board again for your support for the playground project. We are looking to move forward with purchase of the equipment here shortly. It is a 6 to 7 month lead time on that equipment, and we'll continue to fundraise for installation. We're at a point where we can probably purchase the equipment, but we still have a ways to go to actually put it in the ground and get the site improved. So we're at kind of that first step in the process, but we know it's 6 to 7 months lead time, and then we'll continue to seek grant support and funding support to get the playground actually installed, so it's not just sitting out there with a fence around it, so.
Well, we already talked, since we're giving you 50 grand, we get to use the playground anytime we want for free.
Yeah, we'll make that happen, but we appreciate the support.
Terry does too, even though she's.
Supervisors only day.
Yeah, yeah. And it will be recognized, we will have a signboard out there with recognized at the donor level, so we appreciate it.
Just like Supervisor Island.
Thanks, Eric.
Supervisor Island.
I think if you put that on YouTube, you get more views.
What, you guys going down the slide?
Yeah, they're enjoying the.
And Angie standing there with her hand.
Tom, you're not being safe!
Lost days without an accident.
Yep,
Zero.
yeah, 0.
Well, we got 30 seconds left. Anybody?
I do. Hey, since wintertime is coming up, there are people that will be homeless, doing the same thing again this year. Just getting some backpacks together, so if anybody wants to make up a backpack, I've already got 5, but I'll take I'll take 10 more. If you got a backpack, you can put like warm stuff, baby wipes, stuff like that if you were living out on the street, socks. stuff like that. Anyways, they'll take it, they will, and there's sometimes you just can't do anything about it. I took a guy, this is just not too long ago, this guy was a sweetheart, met him up at the gas station on the corner of Division, bought him some coffee, just sweet and kind guy, and didn't have a place to stay. I said, man, I'm gonna put you up for a night. I said, we gotta figure something out with you. Anyways, put the guy up at Super 8. I got a phone call an hour and a half later, and the sweetheart guy was going off on the maintenance guy because he was on his medication and just flipped out, you know, I mean, didn't harm anybody, but just started getting loud, they had to put him out. You know what I'm saying? I mean, those are the things that just breaks your heart. Or somebody outside it, 30-degree below weather and stuff like that. So anyways, if you've got a heart and you wanna do something, get a backpack. You can get them cheap and then just fill it up with stuff. And you can even bring it down here. I've got several people that we drive around and we look for people, we know some of the regulars, so just throwing that out there.
Okay, with an eye, we're out of here.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, everybody. We do have a workstation with IT and maintenance here. We're gonna take a break so we can sign these papers, so it'll be about 5 to 10 minutes, okay?
So we talked, I don't know, it was a couple months ago, like early October, about the, kind of the camera, environment out at the jail, and, having some money budgeted to kind of replace that system out there. The cameras, so the money that I have looked to replace out there is mainly for the DVR, the actual servers that the cameras and everything record to. And what I came and talked about a couple months ago is another option that I've been talking with the company about that incorporates that DVR and the cameras all into one system, where all the storage actually saves on the cameras themselves as opposed to another physical box. So those cameras are a little bit more money, but overall, in the grand scheme of things, it saves the county more money, so we're not having to, you know, swap these servers out every 5 years or whatever, having to maintain that software on those servers and everything else. I've been talking with Jim about it a little bit. I know he had some questions and had a budget amendment put in place for this, so I was kind of just wanting to check and see if there's anything else you guys wanted me to go over on this, if it was kind of fresh on your mind, or if you had any additional questions about it, or kind of where your stance was on it. So this system, like I said, would replace all the cameras and everything that are out there. The cameras that are out there right now are pretty old. They're going about 7 or 8 years old, maybe a little more on a few of them. Some of the cameras out there are a Century 360 brand. That brand doesn't even exist anymore. They went out of business about 3 or 4 years ago, so we don't have any kind of support or anything on the majority of those cameras that are out at the jail. So if we do decide not to go with this, and we do decide, hey, let's stick with the system that we currently have, I can replace those servers and move forward with that, but we're going to be having to look about replacing those cameras that are out at the jail next year. So anyways, this kind of ties into what I'm going to be doing for my budget hearing this year. Is going to kind of rely on what we end up landing with this. So, do you guys want me to kind of go over this?
I got a
again,
quick
real
dumb
quick, or-
question to, and I remember going through this parts of it, but anyway, instead of, we have to replace the servers anyway.
Correct.
And we're gonna have to replace the cameras.
Yeah.
Because they're no support or whatever anyway. Okay, so.
And they're pretty old too, so, yeah.
Okay, and so the difference in the cost is the replacing the servers and the cameras? Like, what was it, $50,000 or something like that? I
So
remember.
I got a breakdown on the spreadsheet here that I did.
And I apologize, I
that's
remember
fine.
looking at that.
So I did like a 5-year cost breakdown. So, I factored in, the cost on average per camera, how many cameras out there, how much the license and support cost is, how much we spend right now for the server and the storage to replace those. The 2 main PC stations that are out there, and so those PC stations are what control uses to see all the cameras out at the jail and all those views. And then obviously, I was pretty conservative on this, but the server software that we use to maintain, basically like our antivirus, our IT security tools and stuff that we have to run on those servers to keep us safe. So here was my ballpark figure for about a 5-year term, and then here was the 5-year term for the Verkada system per camera. Like I said, per camera, those are more. The license support costs are a little higher, but since we're not having to buy a DVR, we're not having to support, servers and storage out there, we don't have to, the costs are lower because the cameras themselves, they all record directly to the camera, and when you go to playback or pull video off of those systems, it doesn't pull off the server, it pulls directly off the cameras themselves. So the cameras basically have a little stronger hardware in them to allow them to do that with storage, and that's where it records to.
Now, when you pull that off of them cameras, does that go in the cloud?
No, everything gets stored locally to the cameras. If you want to do an archive, you can archive that video to the cloud, which is Verkada's data center system.
Yeah.
But you can also just export directly and burn it to a thumb drive.
What's it cost you to have them pull that back off when you store it in the cloud?
As long as you have support for the camera, it doesn't cost you anything. They gave us I can't remember the exact number, but I want to say 10 terabyte, a very large number of cloud storage that we can archive video to. So the reason why I could see that being beneficial is if we did more of these cameras through the rest of the county, and let's say we did the front steps, and somebody tripped out there and they fell, but we don't know if that's gonna become a bigger deal or an incident of, you know, all these steps weren't made properly or whatever. You can archive that video out to the cloud and just have it sit out there for months on end, so if it does become an issue, we can pull the video up later.
What's the memory, or the memory, or, that's not the word I wanna use, but on per camera?
Like the amount you can store on it?
Yeah,
It's,
yeah.
so the ones they have different, levels of this, but the ones I had quoted was 30 days. They do like a 30-day, a 60-day, a 90-day, 120, and like a 1 year. So it's just more storage that they add into the cameras, but the cost just goes up as the more, storage you have in those cameras.
So what are you looking at having,
It's a 30-day.
the 30-day, and then anything beyond that is stored in the cloud?
No, you'd have to archive it. So after 30 days, it wipes off the camera, so.
So we've got 30 days
We've got
to
30
archive
days of
something if we
retention.
need to.
If
Okay.
there's something on
Okay.
there that we wanna save, we can either export the video
Okay.
off and burn it to something, or we can archive that
I
clip to
got
the
you,
cloud.
I got you.
But every 30 days, you know, at the 30-day mark, it's just deleting if that makes sense. The way we have a lot of our cameras now, they're pretty much based off of motion, which works well for us 90% of the time, but every once in a while, there's little issues. You know, CPC office has had this 1 or 2 times where they had somebody messing with, what was that, a drain or something out there? And the guy ran past the camera, but there wasn't enough motion there from him running, because he was on the other down the end of the street. There wasn't enough motion there for it to pick up, for it to trigger the record. So I kind of been trying to get away from that.
Sounds like he runs like me.
You said
So the way motion cameras typically work, is you have to have a percentage of changes on the picture. So if you think of this of like a camera view, you know, I don't know what it is, let's say 1% of pixel change has to occur on there, and if that doesn't occur, then it doesn't trigger a record. These, they just record 24/7, so you get 30 days of the incident, we're not having to worry about it. I've had incidents out at the jail as well, where they bring somebody in and they go to talk with them about, you know, let's say it's a drunk driving or whatever, they're talking to them in the OWI room out there. The guy's sitting here in this chair, the officer's sitting right here, but they're not moving, they're just talking, you know, sitting in the corner or whatever, they're not moving. So the way the cameras were set is that at 30-second intervals, it would check. So it would constantly be recording, and as long as there was enough change in those 30 seconds, it would keep recording. But I had instances where the guys were just sitting perfectly still enough, after 30 seconds, it wasn't recording. So the officers would come back to me and say, hey Colin, what the hell's going on here? I was talking to them in there or whatever, and it was just for the simple fact they weren't moving.
So in other words, if something happened after, said nothing had happened in the previous 30 seconds.
Yep.
Okay.
So it would have jumps and gaps in those. So I had to make some special circumstances for some of those cameras on that.
Hey, if one of the cameras went out, we're locked in for CADA from this point on as far as cameras, or can you mix, Matt?
It has to be, that's the downside to a system like this, because
Okay,
it's
so let me get-
proprietary, kind of like Apple's little environment, like you have to have Apple products working in the Apple environment. Verkada's the same way, you have to use Verkada's cameras, Verkada's stuff, or nothing.
That's the only thing I don't like about that system. You've got, leave Milestone completely out of it. Is there other systems you can go to that you would be satisfied with, where you can't change cameras?
Most of the systems.
Have you looked?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Okay.
Most of the systems, they're typically proprietary. Milestone is kind of a unique situation. They don't really sell cameras. They deal strictly on the DVI or DVR software side. So they interact with a lot of different vendors, a lot of different cameras, and that's pretty much their big kind of appeal or perk for their system. But it still goes back to having to need a physical DVR sitting there with a bunch of storage to record that to. The other issue with that is it's also a point of failure. You know, right now, if we have 50 cameras and I switch to the Verkada system out of the jail, one of the cameras dies. Okay, we've lost that view in that hallway. We got to get a camera and replace it. If the server dies, we've lost it all. It's an all or nothing. Which is why I kind of would like to move to a different system. It doesn't necessarily have to be Verkada, but a different system that doesn't have a DVR or a central point of failure for those recordings. I've talked with like Meraki. I threw that on here as well. These are kind of like preliminary pricing of what Verkada's, or not Verkada, sorry, Meraki's would be. I was trying to get pricing from them, and they wouldn't give me pricing until I sat and talked with them, so we got that, kind of assigned. I sat and talked with them for a while. I'm like, okay, can you give me some pricing? They said, sure, we'll get you pricing, and then the guy that's supposed to give me the price wasn't gonna get it to me until later this afternoon. I'm like, that doesn't work for me because I have a work session today, so they gave me some MSRP pricing. But this is kind of what theirs would be. Their support license cost, these are for 5 outdoor cameras, and these are for 45 indoor cameras. Whoops. Because they asked me, specifically, I'm like, around 50, about 5 that are outdoor and 45 that are indoor. So the total cost would be about $117,858. Verkada's was $90,000 and change. There was some caveats to the Meraki system that was definitely a downside compared to Verkada. They don't have as many kind of feature perks that Verkada does. Verkada has like person of interest. I don't know if you guys recall me talking about that a couple months ago. You can put in a picture or whatever. Let's say a sheriff has a warrant or something. They can put that picture in the system and it will look and do AI looking on the cameras.
I remember you talking about that, that's Verkada, is that okay? I
Yeah.
remember.
And they also do license plate recognition and stuff. I asked Meraki about these type of features and they said from a business standpoint, they're against that. They don't like doing, I don't know, something about their internal company policy. They don't like doing facial recognition and stuff and what, the things that bring on with that, so they don't do it. They do have cameras and stuff that can, look for, or not necessarily look, but can see quality-wise license plate and stuff. Let's say if we ever wanted to put one out here on the street, we could do that, but they don't have any built-in system that does scanning or does any kind of facial recognition or anything like that. But a lot of the same stuff that Meraki does is similar to Verkada. They do cameras that are similar. They have storage built into them, and then they have a cloud. So.
Is the only difference between the two is that you can't do the
There's some
person
other-
of interest?
There's some other stuff. So their cameras are based typically off motion as well. They say their motion works pretty well. But if we did just a straight recording the whole time, their 30-day camera is actually 17-day camera. It's 30 days based off of motion events. So I'm like, well, what if we didn't want to do motion events? We just want to do a straight recording. And we're like, you're probably going to be about 17 days on that camera.
But with the Verkada,
It's 30 days.
regardless.
Straight
use, 24/7.
Is that a rolling 30? So it just
Yeah.
kicks a day off and kicks a day on?
So yeah, at 30 days, the video that's 30 days old starts getting deleted.
Yeah, just fills in the next 24 hours.
Yeah. I'm trying to think, there's some other stuff I want to talk about too.
Did we also get a price, they wanted to give us a price on some doors and stuff that we didn't think we needed, I think, right? You said.
And I got that in here as well.
I'm just trying to check and make sure that's the conversation I remembered, okay, yeah.
Cost is definitely higher,
Yeah.
especially compared to the system that we have right now, so. It had some benefits to it, but the cost was pretty high.
Yeah, there's some bells and whistles, call them, that,
Add
for
some
the
integration.
cost of it, there's gonna be a license fee per door. So when you're looking at
Yeah. I
all
remember.
all the county buildings on our security access stuff per door, it just doesn't make sense.
And some integration perks that they like to sell on so that, if somebody walks up to a door, it do facial recognition. And like, let's say Rodney had my badge, walked up to a door, scanned it, it would say, hey, that's not Colin, and wouldn't let you in the door, that kind of stuff, so. But yeah, I tried to, so I tried to focus more on kind of the camera aspect of it. Like I said, there's a lot of benefits to moving to, this kind of system. I think it would definitely be easier for a lot of the public safety entities, not just, county attorney, sheriff's office, but also, Burlington PD, West Burlington PD, because they're constantly needing to pull video off of our system. Right now, the way it kind of works is anytime there's an incident or whatever, the sheriff's office, gal clerks over there have to export that video manually, burn it to a CD or put it on a thumb drive or whatever, and then give it physically to the county attorney's office or Burlington PD or whatever the entity needs. Whereas with this kind of system, they wouldn't necessarily have to do that. They could just send them a direct web link. Here's a link to the clip. in the Verkada system, and then they can just view what's going on there, or the officer can download the video directly off of the Verkada system. So they don't necessarily have to be internally in the network to do that.
There's no cost for that kind of stuff then?
It's, well, you're paying for the support license cost.
How much
per
is the
camera.
support?
So, right here, for,
Oh, you can just tell me, I don't.
well, it's about $3,580 a year. So for 5 years, roughly about 18,000.
Let's say,
But we,
per camera. So.
or I'm sorry, I
so
gave you,
you're-
I'm sorry, I gave you the wrong number. For 5 years, $31,360 for the 50 cameras.
Oh, all right.
So,
We're talking $100,000 though, for 5 years for the Verkada, for the one
Right.
you want. The Miles, or the other one that you got the phone call on, the Meraki, whatever the heck, that's $117, and you said it's not even as good as the Verkada.
yeah, I feel so.
Can you use other cameras with that, Meraki?
Nope, same deal.
Same thing, you gotta use their own
Yeah.
hardware.
What about Milestone?
Milestone, like I said, they're not really a camera company, they're more a software company. So,
Okay.
They can use
They
any
can
cameras,
use
but they can't use
most cameras.
Meraki, they can't use Meraki cameras.
correct.
Yeah.
See, the part of the reason too why it's proprietary for Meraki, Verkada, or some of these other cloud, they call them cloud-based systems, but they're kind of more of a hybrid based system, is, you know, not all cameras have those built-in storage, you know, those and the features that are required to do this kind of stuff, either, you know, with the Verkada stuff, with like the facial recognition and some of those other perks. So, and they don't really obviously want to warranty other cameras into their environment.
I think some of those cameras like Access, some of those other ones, you can have like on board, like those little cards.
Yeah.
But then you have to go to that camera, pull that card,
Directly.
take it to the computer. You know, you can't just jump on.
Yeah, we talked with
jump on
an
the
access
computer
rep
and
there,
access it.
when was that? A couple months ago, a month ago or something like that. And we were kind of picking his brain a little bit, because I actually kind of really like the access cameras that we have in a lot of the different places, but obviously there's just not as much features as some of these other kind of closed systems are. But they don't have anything like that where it really records to the local camera. You can put in extra little SD cards and stuff in the camera to do like a backup recording on the camera. And that's kind of beneficial. We have that in some spots, like over at the SO in the interview room and stuff, the camera in there, we have a little backup SD card just in case, you know, to make sure that we got those recordings. But they don't have, you know, these type of systems.
I guess I like the idea that it's not the server, so if the server goes down, you have a system failure.
Yeah.
And this you would have so if a camera went down, then you'd still got however many cameras you got left. And I could see where it's a pain in the ass, that's all you could use, but this is not my specialty. And I'm going to assume here, and I'm sure you have, because you had either the Doug or the sheriff here before talking about some of the advantages that then you had maintenance. So I guess I don't have that Verkada would be okay with me. It looks to be a little cheaper over the.
And I don't know if Cheryl had talked to you guys or not, but I think originally she was trying to see if this budget amendment could be in that capital bond, but I don't believe.
She told me that we would have to have another set of public hearings and with the lawyers coming through with that, so we can take it out of another account. But yeah, that's that can be worked out.
Will Verkada give you in your contract, when you do it with them, will they put in there that they will not charge you to pull videos, recordings out of the cloud? Because what I understand, they do charge for that.
So I think what
And
you're,
it's not with the camera, but it's a different,
I think what
kind of like
you're,
going into your service, see?
I think what you're thinking or what you're referring to is they have a full cloud-only service where it doesn't necessarily record to the camera locally, where it just spits everything to Verkada's cloud system. So everything's, you know, housed in the cloud, off-site, And then they have redundant, extra redundancy on those type of cameras. But what I'm looking more is more what I consider the hybrid, where we're just using the storage that's built into the direct cameras. If we want to archive the video, we can archive the video. But they will give you a special cost and a price if you just want to put all that video directly into
I
Vertex
don't
Cloud.
think you need all the video if you got, if you have the cameras without, let's say something did happen out to jail. And there might be a lawsuit coming down, they've got, 2 years to do this. And you can take that camera and put that up in that cloud. Will they, to pull that video back out of the cloud, from what I understand, they will charge you for that, because it doesn't go into your server, it goes into their.
I'm pretty certain. I mean, I've talked to them personally about this, and they told me they
Make
would
sure
be
that's in
charged.
your contract.
But I can verify and ask
Yeah,
them.
verify that's in your contract.
If there was like an incident like that, where something actually did happen, we're gonna export the video off anyways to a hard copy, either on a CD or a thumb drive, or just have, the sheriff's office is gonna pull that, they're gonna have, and have a local copy on their system that's off the camera. What I can see, like I said, beneficial of archiving it is if, we don't know, like if something happens, I mean, we can still burn it if we want to. We can export that video off and have it somewhere, but hey, we don't think this might turn into a deal, but if it does, we archive it so that if we need to go back, we can pull it. It's just an additional option.
How much are you gonna have to, how much is this going to break down? Is this gonna break down over 5 years? We're just gonna do it all in one swooping pop, or what?
So, from what I had $50,000 budgeted to replace those servers out there. What I was looking for was an additional $50,000 to just swap, instead of swapping the servers, we're swapping just all the cameras and the server in one go. So about roughly $100,000 budgeted to swap all these. But like I said, if I didn't get to swap the cameras now, I'm gonna have to swap them again either next year or another year down the road. So I kind of wanted to do it all at once.
That's all building?
Just the jail.
Just the jail,
So, yeah, for the 50 cameras
Well,
out
when
there.
you do it, you should do the jail all at once rather than have two systems.
Yeah, and that's, well, we will have county-wise 2 systems for a little while.
Yeah,
It'll
but-
be
but I mean
the
for
jail
the
system.
jail.
Yeah.
The jail, yeah.
The jail will strictly be on the new
Should be
Verkada
on
system, so.
some.
They, kind of going back to what I was talking about earlier, whatever. But, this system would also eliminate these 2 main, workstations they have out there and control, because control out there has all these cameras, and they also have, a couple monitors here up on the wall. And this shows them, everything that's going on internally in the jail. What Verkada uses is they use an Apple viewing station. It's an Apple brand, and basically it's kind of like a mini box that allows to view onto the Verkada cameras. So these 2 machines would be replaced with those 2 Apple mini boxes, PCs, whatever you want to call
Sweet.
them.
You don't have that many monitors out there? That's a lot of monitors.
They got a lot of views out there.
Yeah.
I think all in all, they have like 80 to 90, maybe even a little more than that in terms of views of inside, outside the jail. Yeah, they gotta see what's going on. And they, like I talked about this a bit a couple months ago, they rely on this so heavily. Anytime there's any little hiccup in this system, they're immediately, calling me, because they rely on it very much for, prisoner safety, officer safety, for everything, so.
Don't have to worry about power going out with your new generator, do we?
I'm good with it.
I do think too, one thing to keep in mind, if we go with Verkada for this, I think we need to keep moving towards that way to the other county buildings.
Yeah.
Really don't want to see 2 different type of camera systems down the road, having to try and
How much
manage both of them.
More would it cost to go to the 60-day camera?
It was like $200 or $300 per camera. I have that upstairs. I don't have it here, but.
Surely if there's anything, if you've got anything that stands out, any any incident or something like that, they would,
That was my kind of philosophy or idea.
that you would know within 30
They
days.
have about 30-day recording
Well,
right
that's what
now,
you know
is
that
what they have.
If somebody falls down the stairs or
Or if there's an incident or an officer
swats
has.
somebody or, yeah, anything out of the ordinary.
Most generally, you know pretty quick, within a few days that something happened.
There might be certain areas, you know, in the county, not necessarily at the jail. I think that, you know, let's say we put a camera out out behind conservation. What do you call that?
Impound.
Yeah, the little impound lot out there to kind of keep an eye on some of the old equipment out there. Like, that would be beneficial to have more recording, because, you know, nobody's out there, and, you know. But something like this out of the jail, if there's something happens out of the jail,
I was thinking
they're gonna know that.
outside, you know.
But roughly, cost-wise, if the 30 days is about 1,300, the 60 days is about 1,600 per camera. And it just keeps ramping up from there. Like I said, they do a 90-day, they do a 120-day, they do a 1 year. I don't know how much the 1 year is, but I assume the cost.
I think that 30 though, the way you said, I think that would cover us, man. We, you know, when stuff goes down, we can't wait on it anyway. It's not like we can sit on something for 2 weeks. You know, it has to be handled right away.
And like I said, you know, as soon as an incident happens, they're gonna be pulling and exporting the video off those cameras so that we have a local copy. You know, the only time there'd be a situation if something happened and nobody happened to notice, you know, for 30 days, but I would think that'd be really rare.
Occasionally, they have like inmate get in a fight in an area where nobody noticed, and then somebody will say something a week later, and then they'll play back the video, and there it is, and then they can turn it off. And we've had 30 days for a long time, and we've never really had any.
We've got 30 days now.
Approximately 30 days.
I have a
Some of them
couple,
are
couple
longer.
cameras that are a little longer out there.
A little
Like,
longer.
there's there's a couple of areas I remember talking about. But it's still set for motion.
Still set for motion.
So so it was less storage take, but there was like, between control and the nursing station, that little area there. I think that was one little area that I upped it to 60 days. And there's one other spot, but yeah, those out there are still set for motion, so they're only kicking in and recording anytime there's a movement.
Usually if it's something that goes past that 30 days, it's you find out, I mean, it could be 6 months later, so how far do you go with the recording? 30 days has seemed to work ever since we've had the system.
Well, I think I pretty much covered anything, and I just wanted to make sure that you guys, if you had any more additional questions or anything like that, you know. Like I said, we talked to Access, we talked to Meraki, or I talked to Meraki and got some price and stuff over there. The Meraki system overall, besides the fact that they had a little less features, I thought it was pretty good. I mean, it's pretty comparable to the Verkada system. And it did seem like it was gonna integrate well with some of our other Meraki products, because we have some Meraki branded switches and APs. But the cost was definitely higher, like, you know, compared to the Verkada system. But that doesn't surprise me, because Meraki is a Cisco brand, and Cisco is typically a bit more money. They got a little higher value on their stuff than a lot of other brands.
Okay, Colin.
All right, that's all I got.
Thank you.
Yep.
Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Colin.
We'll work on that.
Do you guys wanna take a break before Rodney's, or?
Yeah, why not?
Huh?
I said, yeah, why not?
Keep the strong viewership while you got it, right?
Now, is that 1,450 people?
Yeah.
No, that's average. That's average view time.
1,450 microseconds.
We're either at 3 or 0, huh?
Okay, we're here for a work session with Rodney Blazner and Jack and Board of Supervisors about county buildings.
All right, so every year around budget time, we go through our budget, we go line item by line item, and a lot of times we don't have a lot of time to discuss some of the buildings, maybe bring some things to you throughout the year, just kind of for you guys' information. So I'm gonna pack a lot of information in at you really quick. Got like 385 slides to get through. A lot of them I'll probably flip through fairly quick.
How do you think that'll work?
There was 500 and something, I whittled it down.
You've only got half an hour or so.
I get a blanket of
Yeah.
bacon.
You could probably drop that in the Dropbox so you guys can review it later.
Yeah, so, a few things probably gonna need, I just wanna bring up, just so you guys can be thinking about it, may have some discussions later on, maybe some work sessions later on. I just really kinda wanted to try and cover a lot of the buildings, maybe show you some things you've never seen before.
Oh, I hope not.
Well, not bad things, but
No,
I don't know
no.
if you guys have ever been up to 5th floor courthouse,
Been a while, but
maybe
yeah.
heard about it, so.
No, I haven't heard.
A few things when I was taking pictures of things, I thought, well, I'll just throw this in there just so you guys can kind of see. So when we talk about some things, you may not have seen it or whatnot. But a lot of this stuff's basically a lot of for your information. There's some things to be thinking about as well. So I'll just kind of go through. I'm going to start. Start the courthouse. We'll go through the sheriff's office, sheriff's garage, impounded bike barn out at the old county home site. A little bit on the tower, conservation, county attorney, correctional facility, Cottonwood complex, DHS, health department, security act, some security access stuff I want to talk to you guys about. Just a little bit on the Tiger Grant of what's going to be coming up with that. So try and work through it. Originally started, I wanted to kind of put a picture of the building and then some history behind it, but that got too time consuming. But I did put a little in here for the courthouse. Some neat tidbits. It cost $280,000 back in 1939, 40ish when it was built. So whenever you're bored, sometime I can send that to you and read through the history of when it was built. We also noticed you see the front of the building up here at the top. We put a green LED light. I don't know if anybody mentioned. We
Nice.
still have one on the fence. It's kind of going between red and green. This rope here was just solid green, so I took it down after the veterans deal we did. But we left the ones on top just for a little Christmas thing. So obviously here's the back side of the courthouse. If you look at this little area here, we'll be talking about it later, kind of right where people park, transport talk. That's kind of above the boiler room. More so down here, like where Janelle's truck is in this area.
How big is that generator?
It runs.
It takes care of the whole courthouse. It covers everything. I don't remember the specific number on size.
Okay.
But it's diesel and runs the courthouse. And it was put in, trying to remember if I wrote that down.
Good pictures.
I don't remember.
It's been there about 14, 15 years, something.
Has it been that long?
It's been quite a while.
So here's kind of the other side. One thing, I'm just gonna be talking a little bit about the sidewalk here. So here's kind of an overview, top view. I just took this off GIS. Here's the courthouse. The two south parking lots, gonna be talking about here in a little bit. It's gonna be these two here. Sheriff's parking lot when we get to it here. Obviously the health department on this side. Right up here is where a lot of the AC units are. It's up on top of this, and also this little square right here is the elevator controls for the old elevator. I'll have some pictures of that. There's a air conditioning unit here and a couple out there on the roof outside the recorder's office. So here's the top south parking lot. I think we've already talked. We're been in the works. I talked with Brian when we redid the alley in 2021. Kind of been working on it since. Sent him, one of these guys, some information back in like June and July. They came and did some measuring and all that. So he's supposed to be getting with me because we're hoping to get the south parking lots done and the sheriff's done this physical year,
Blacktop or?
concrete, is what we're looking at. Here's, a lot of that water runs down from the top, runs straight across here. Here's a south parking lot, just got some pictures of it. This is really dipped back here on this side, so we'll be looking at elevating this up here to get the water to run to Main Street. A lot of it kind of sits back here in this area. That's gonna be on some of the plans where he took a lot of measurements. His guy Devin, I think, has been working on it, so hoping to get that information so we can get it out to bid and get it done this physical year. I don't wanna, if we start getting too long into it, if we can't get it done, the Tiger Grant stuff's starting next year. So by the end of the year, probably late summer, fall, I'm assuming they're gonna be out here in front of the courthouse. I don't wanna be doing the south parking lots in the sheriff's office when they're doing all that, cause it's gonna be a nightmare enough. So my hope was to get that all done beforehand. So when that top washes across, it washes right across here on the sidewalk, runs down, what gets down in those cracks, and that washes out underneath those sidewalks, starts getting unlevel, anything over a ½ inch crack, you should be grinded down so people don't trip. We just have a lot of stuff here. Here's the front sidewalk. This is when they were doing the front steps, so this is a little old, but same thing. All this is gonna be replaced, so there's a few issues there. See, he took a grinder, had a guy fall, probably a guy and a lady fall within probably like 2 or 3 weeks of each other out front there. The one guy had, I think, some wrist injuries, but the gal seemed to be okay, but, so we kind of went down and ground up a lot of that off there, a long stretch where hopefully smooth that out so we eliminate some of that until they come and replace the whole front sidewalk.
I know a lady that's probably gonna trip over that. It's too smooth now.
Yep.
We got professional fallers out there we gotta be mindful of.
Yep. Rooftop, this is the hatch up on 5th floor to get up on top of the rooftop. So this is that little fenced-in square up top. It's got the antenna, I'm not sure. I think emergency management uses that, I don't know who all else does. Ready to go. Here's some air conditioner units. This one here was replaced in there's 2 of them that was replaced in 2014. There's one with the assessors. That smaller one there was in 2009. These other here, there's 2 mini splits there. 07, 08, there's a newer mini split, I think 2019 or 20-ish. That other AC unit there is in 1990. That one there, I couldn't really find a date. It's definitely been there longer than I've been here, so I'm guessing it's probably in the 90s at some point. Someday we'll be gonna need to replace it at some point. That roof has been redone. I couldn't find the date, but I know it's been within the last probably 15 years. Same here, this roof was done, I think it might be Jerry this year, so probably 15 to 18 years. There's a couple units there that are air conditioning unit there, that's the air handler unit there. Those are all probably in the 90s. This is the elevator room for the old jail elevator. It's opening up the door. These are some of the controls for it. So I know a long time ago we looked at possibly updating those, a lot of codes and stuff. Right now it's kind of grandfathered in, and if you were going to update, it's going to be a significant amount of money. I think you'd be better off probably shutting it down than probably trying to redo it.
Was that put in when the courthouse was built, you think?
Yeah, I'm assuming so. So it's pretty old. This is the new. The elevator was updated around 2008-ish, 7 or 8-ish. Had all new controls. This is the passenger elevator that gets used daily. So that's kind of what that room looks like. The cables. This is 5th floor. Kind of right here to the right is the jail elevator. Come up, we've got some equipment up in there. There's a water heater. We've got some storage for some doors, some racks. Some more storage here. Come back, come in, go this way, back to this corner. we come in here is where some of the evaporative pools are. There's some of them, one's dated 1989, two of them are 1990. One had been replaced, I don't remember which year, it was probably 2008 to 10-ish maybe. So there's a couple of those that are still, those evaporative pools in there that are still pretty old. Everything seems to be working fine, so we just keep up on maintaining what we got. To get back to one area, you gotta walk on this board, walk across here, through this doorway, and then you get into this area here. And this is the one I believe that was replaced. This is a wall in between fourth floor and fifth floor. I've been this way for a while. It was when the roof was leaking, back when I started. So that all got ripped out. We'd like to really get that fixed up. Nobody ever sees it, but it's something I think we need to get fixed up. Next thing is the treasurer's office remodel. I know we've talked about it before. Need to know, maybe talk to you guys. Just a lot of challenges with this. One of the big things is like this main post right here. This is the main pillar post in the building that you can't move or do much with it. There's one on each side.
Are the posts, how big are the actual posts that are, because they're not that big?
Them are solid concrete.
You've got to be kidding.
No, like right here where this,
Oh, wow.
where the tan part is,
Okay.
that is solid concrete. So this little countertop stuff around the bottom
Yeah.
is,
Build on
but those are main pillars that are not going anywhere. So that really presents the challenge, or the biggest challenge of it all, is trying to design something that you can have enough spots for, one, to try and keep some space, two, to try and keep a workflow going that makes sense for them, and try and get it secure. Obviously, there's no doorway here, there's just a little half door there to get through. A lot of challenges with that. You know, we still have the plexiglass up from COVID. I don't know if you've ever been down there when people are talking. I know it is kind of loud. You know, you gotta talk really loud, so trying to design something maybe that would, you know, give that protection, yet maybe some dividers or something that would give a little privacy in between. Those two pillars really make things difficult. Looked at maybe pulling, instead of the countertop being on the back side of those, bring it up to the front, but then you lose space. So instead of having maybe 8 clerks, you're only gonna be able to have 6 if you start looking at, you know, if you go in and you put them at 4 feet apart, and we have another COVID outbreak, and they say you have to have 6 feet or 8 feet again, then you're gonna lose more. So, look at maybe taking this wall here out, maybe moving things back. I don't know, kind of looked at a lot of different things, but either way, it's gonna be a big project. It's not gonna be easy. Between that, the fresh air intake part that comes in, you can see this big line running across here. That's some fresh air that comes in from the outside. All that was put in, I believe, back in the early 80s. That was back when you used to be able to smoke in the building. So there was some challenges there with people that was having trouble breathing, whatever, so they brought this unit in and put all that in there for fresh air. By code, you have to have a certain amount of fresh air, but I don't know what that fresh air intake into the building, I don't know what that is and how much that brings in. I'm sure you've all been in there and kind of seen the layout of it. Obviously too, you can see there's one ceiling height right here, like where these pillows are at. And you have this fresh air intake thing, and then you go up above that, then there's another ceiling height. So trying to configure what the ceiling height would be. If we need to keep that fresh air in there, we go below that, we go above it. If you go above it, then you start getting into air handler units for the chiller up here. You see some of those. Some of those are not made to push air out for very far distance. Some we have to look at. Obviously, you can see the ceiling. You know, the ceiling wasn't made to have really a lot of electrical and fans and stuff attached to it. So you have that ceiling there, then you have about 2 or 3 foot in between, and then it's a concrete floor. A lot of the stuff when it was put up was just attached to that. That bottom ceiling, it didn't go all the way up and get attached to the concrete, specifically the lights, fans, obviously all the electric lines that come through there. So as you can see, over time, some of it, just from the weight of all that stuff, pulling them down, that's why you see squares missing. Just because it, below the ceiling a little bit, and they're just glued up there, the squares are just glued and they'll pop out.
We had the same issue in our office because we'd come in and it's kind of like, oh, there's a ceiling tile missing. Where'd it go? There it is on the desk. So they just fall off.
Was that you I was talking to that day over there when that thing fell off and hit me on the head? Or was that
Nope.
Carol? That must have been when Carol was there then.
Must have been.
So here's that big line, fresh intake comes through here, and it's even lower on this end. But look about maybe taking this wall out, maybe moving it over, putting a door in over here off the hallway where the bathroom is, open this up. I don't know what options there would be or we would have. But some of these are really low. So I'm talking
What
about
office is that there?
Treasurer's office.
I mean, that's not out, that's in the back where.
Just around the corner.
That's on the west, on
Around
the
the
west
corner, around the
side.
corner behind that wall where the license plate is
Yep,
at.
yeah, so all of those license plate, this is that wall there, just on the back side of that is this area right here. When we bring license plates in, we bring them through, we pass them through that window, through the alley, through that window. That's how we get them in there. They'll usually call us and we help them bring them in. The other side, you have the vault there, the break room there. This is that fresh air handler, so this is when you go down off the main hallway and towards the ladies' public restroom. This unit's right here, so it comes in from there and then gets piped into the treasurer's office. This here is just a picture of the auditor's office. So when they put the ceiling, that drop ceiling in there, you can see what they have to do. Because I told them I don't want it just attached to this white ceiling, I want it attached to the concrete so we don't have to worry about anything falling down. So ultimately, that's what it looks like now up there. So once you do something like that, you're really committed.
Oh, yeah.
You start doing stuff. So one of the things to I told you guys the last several years about redoing the trestle floors. So this here, when they were doing the steps, we stripped it with the floor scrub here, stripped it and then waxed it. Waxed this whole area. And then talking to the sales guy, got us some diamond pads, and what we wanted to do, instead of waxing the trestle floors, it's basically you put diamond pads and you start with a rough grit, and then you do a lot of passes, and it's very time consuming. I think between Jack having a lot of hours stripping it, I probably had, I don't know, close to 20 hours or better in it, just making pass, and really needed more time. So you basically take the wax off, and you're basically kind of not grinding, but kind of wearing some of the trestle down, and then you bring it out and buff it. So when you get to the lesser grit, it basically buffs it, and you don't need wax. And then every once or twice a year, you just kind of run you use your regular floor machine pads on it. Once or twice a year, you can put that fine pad on again, buff it up, and it'll look like new. There's kind of a before. It is really kind of hard to see on the pictures. And I haven't even really got the corners, because a lot of that wax builds up on those edges and corners. You gotta really spend, it takes a lot of time to get that all off there, and then probably have to hand use some of the pads. And honestly, once you get chairs and stuff in there, a lot of times you don't even see those edges.
When I was in junior high school at Oak Street, the way they did it then is they took the kids that were in detention and you served an hour in detention, but they give you a little piece of, oh yeah, I remember, I sanded all those holes. Anyway, that little transition up there we got there, well, if you get a kid that's really interested in doing elbow grease, he can do about that much in about 40 minutes. Anyway, and so you get to leave early, but you probably don't have access to that many junior high kids.
It's very time consuming, so.
It makes me come in early in the morning to work on those.
I got 3 I can volunteer for you.
You love it too, don't you, Jack?
So you get the heavy grit, the more you work down it, almost gets kind of like white and chalky, but then by the end it really, like I say, it doesn't do it a lot of justice here, but it really almost looks like you waxed it. but there's no wax on it, it's just straight terrazzo. So if you're down there sometime, this hallway, I did that, like from about here to the front door was wax. You can noticeably see this main hallway is whiter, so it really pulls out the colors in the terrazzo and the white terrazzo. Obviously, when you put wax on it, everything gets kind of yellowish. And if you walk down there, you'll be able to see the difference between the entryway in the front and this main hallway.
We're gonna strip it. Sometimes you get the yellow out of there, but we just haven't yet, but that shows you the difference big time.
But just something I want to do, but it's very time consuming, so being able to find the time to do it is extremely tough. And obviously, you can only do it when nobody's around. So this hallway was done over a vacation weekend. Worked on like a Friday night, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and then have it back together by.
You gotta use this slurry too, so it's sloppy when you're the first stages of it. That's why.
Yeah, if you can see here, you see how all that, it just looks really wet. It's because there is a lot of water and slop. You gotta keep it, with that diamond pad, you gotta keep it really wet. Unfortunately, when you are using a floor machine or like a buffer machine with that, it slops up all over. It's just really messy. Really messy, really time consuming. This is the back ramp area, heading out back. I'd like to really do something with the floor here. Problem is this gets used a lot. The rug moves up and down. If you just do straight tile, then it gets slick when it gets wet in the winter. I don't want to do carpet because a lot of people come in right in this back door, and then just carpet would not last very long. So don't know what the good answer is there, if it's some sort of epoxy with some traction stuff, but something we want to keep on the radar. And you can see the back steps, they used to have tread patterns on there, so those are just painted and all those tread things got taken off. Just looks bad, and something we need to either repaint or whatever in our spare time. This here's a courtroom, Judge Dean's courtroom that we redid when we had that sound system stuff. Again, we redid the paint, did the ceiling just like the auditor's office. We have the other courtroom to do. So that's kind of before picture, it's kind of an after picture. It just looks really nice, cleans everything up. There's multiple places I really like to do it in hallways. There's not a good way of doing it. This is the boiler room. I don't know if anybody's ever been down in there. I think you guys probably have. These are the two boilers. We mainly run this one. It's kind of number one. It's got a newer burner on it right here. You can see the difference between there and there. Boiler number two, we just kind of keep it on standby. Run it for maybe a few days or for a week just to kind of keep things moving, but the main one is here. We generally only need one to keep things heated up, so that's kind of what we do. This area up here, you can see, that's what I was talking about earlier, where the cars park on the back area. Or transport, you know, my truck. That is all right above this area.
Get in there, I gotta check that out sometime.
So this is the back side of the boilers. That's one of the things too, we do it ourselves, we tear them apart, we do the inspections, and we put them all back together. So there are a few things, when the inspector was here, we gotta replace a couple gas valves. We took those pictures out, but that's something we'll have a contractor do, but.
How often do you do that? State do that for you?
Every year the inspector comes.
Does the state, or do you have insurance?
The insurance, Travelers Insurance
Okay,
comes
they're
and inspects
cheaper.
it. Yep.
They don't charge, the state charges you buku to the buck to do that.
Yeah, so Travelers inspected them, they'll turn it to the state, and then they'll send us it's a fee, I don't remember, it was $125 per boiler or whatever. So the state still gets their money for their license fee for those things. This here is a condensate tank, main condensate tank right here, and there's another added on right here. So what happens when the boiler makes a steam, obviously turns into steam, when it cools down, turns back into water, it goes into these tanks. We have an extra tank here. Advantage of that is instead of just pumping straight water into the boiler, you're using the condensate that's already been treated with the chemicals, and it's already warm. So for one, it doesn't have to try and reheat straight water, and it's already had treated with the chemicals, so it helps save in a lot of ways. These are the air compressors for the pneumatic controls for everywhere in here. The boiler system, like I read up there, it's got air going to it, that's what thermostat reads. This is the glycol tank, so this is the boiler for the front steps here. Expansion tank here, the lines that run up and out. This here's the glycol tank that will refill the system.
That glycol tank didn't go on that front step boiler though.
This here, this
And
glycol.
They put the new one on, it wasn't on that last one.
Yeah, this is current, this is what's
Okay,
there.
that's
Yeah,
what's there.
That's what's there now. So there was like a water
Yeah.
thing, they completely cut that all out, so it's just comes straight from here and goes up into the system. So again, this is, some of this was from before, he was getting water in, you know, between that pad that had that top pad was done in, I don't remember, I had it in there somewhere. Anyway, all that concrete been done, so it had all been taken off, like where we park. It was all taken up, there's a rubber membrane and then poured concrete back over top. And then with the alley getting done, it helped, so we're not getting near the water down there, but it's something we continue to watch. So this here's the automated logic, it's control, the boiler controls for the system. I don't know, I can't use it. Get that off there. I was gonna pull up the boiler control program. This is kind of what runs it all.
You say
The
your
next,
Windows key, it'll minimize it. Hit your Windows key on your keyboard. Your start button. It's lower left.
oh. Okay, you guys just leave.
That's part of the panic button upstairs. For the panic buttons in the offices, that's what controls them to send it out to the.
That box, the
Yeah,
wave?
That wave, and the controls, you can't see it on that picture, but they all scrambled. It's still working as far as we know. The last time we tested it, it's something else we're gonna have to probably.
You know, we push button.
We usually call DESCOM first, so they know we're doing
Oh,
it.
okay.
Just hit escape.
Is it gonna press that button on accident?
Oh, that's the
Select the
one
power
that'll
button.
activate it.
I've
So I
done
don't
that
know which
before,
one
when I
it is.
first
Anybody done
started
that with their
as,
knee or
Huh?
something?
when I first started as land
It'd be
use,
whatever picture.
there
I
was
hit
a panic
escape.
button that sat in that window over there, and we had a board of adjustment meeting, and one of the ladies that was on the board says, what's this garage door opener for? And I go, I don't know. Pretty soon we had a couple of cops out in the hallway, and we got a call, we're going, oh, that was us, but they had to check it out anyway, just to make sure.
That's what the garage door opener's for.
So leave the garage door opener alone.
We usually call DESCOM so they can announce it, that we're gonna test it.
This here rings right over Sheriff's Department.
It'll go over my radio.
Huh?
It goes over my radio too.
Does it?
So this is a boiler program. Pull it in, and we can pull it up on an app on the phone, so if something happens, but it'll tell us what the steam pressure is, if it's on or if it's not on. We can adjust, so there's two temperature sensors, one on the first floor, third floor. There's a lot of it here, I won't really go through. Yeah, obviously, the chiller here too, we can control it all through this. You can set the schedules on what you want for weekends or days, just something. Kind of, that's how we do that, if you ever wondered.
Except it doesn't tell you when the louvers aren't working.
No,
Yeah,
you figure that out.
yeah, so, yeah, if the louvers aren't working, then doesn't send us any notification. All right, we're back. So this is the panic alarm system. So this was bought, I think we put it in 2011. So it's just something, been looking at updating. This next picture is kind of the same company, but obviously it's updated, everything's come a long ways.
How old's ours again?
12 years, 2011. Alarm notifications can be transmitted up to 4 different radios, VHF, UHF, 800 megahertz or digital or encrypted. Send emails, text messages, contact closures, and phone calls can also be transmitted. Can customize messages that can be played over speakers or PA systems. You can add sensors, change messages, or update the configuration of the system using the touchscreen on front, the control panel, or any computer on your network. So this is kind of web, I think kind of like a web base. I haven't talked to Colin too much on it. I think we did a while back, and he sent me some info on some of the other IT guys that had some stuff, but just haven't had time to really dig into it too much to really do something different. But I think we're gonna be looking, this one I think is around $10,000–11,000.
How much is the one that we've got, how much was the one that we've got right now?
I think it was around 8 or 9.
8 or 9 grand?
Yeah.
And how much do they, what's the life expectancy on them?
30 years.
Because for 11 years we've had it, and what, Terry's the only one that's pressed the button, so I mean.
No, that was many years ago. We're probably talking about 25 years ago, I tested that
Yeah.
out.
It's like a couple $1,000 a press.
Yeah.
I think it blow
It
pushed
blow
this button
pushed it,
once.
yeah.
Really? For real?
So,
Yeah.
That's what I heard. It was before I was here, but I've heard the story, yes.
Bob
I
said
think
push
he
it,
just hit it just because he wasn't sure what it was, and then the officers came by.
Yeah.
So yeah, they definitely do work. You can add virtual panic buttons and put them on computers. So instead of, having that button, see somebody was unruly and the guy was at the computer, they could just click a button on, icon on their computer.
Oh, that would be like you could put it on phones too.
Remote locations, I don't know, there's just a lot of low batteries. It'll send you like an email or text message. Right now, we just got a schedule. We go around and change the batteries every so often, test them every year. Something I think is still would have to continue to do, but something we're looking at. Maybe not right now, but something that's on our radar that we're gonna look at. Next thing is Sheriff's Office. I think you guys kind of toured that recently. One of the things here is, bring up my pointer again. Here's the sheriff's roof. So if you take a look at this, actually the yellow line here runs kind of right along the back side of this. So technically, when you go to look at this area of the parking lot, it's like the OT area. That's something Brian was talking when we were looking at redoing the sheriff's office, working with them, talking with them about this section here. Another thing is too, I know we've talked many times in the past about a generator for the building, because they had no generator power here. Just a couple weeks ago when the power went out, they were without power. They had some stuff they needed to get done. And sent Jack out to get a generator so we at least get one computer up and going, and power came back on, but there is no battery, there is no generator power backup to
They lose all their
the sheriff's
phones,
office.
so then they're calling me because they lost their phones, and we're trying to redirect their phone calls to at least dispatch, so if somebody is calling the sheriff's office for an emergency,
In the main area where the women do most of the work at, we had to run flashlights over it because there's no windows, it was pitch black.
yeah, pretty much black and white.
We had to have some emergency lighting, but so, yeah, when you look at a generator, where do you put it? Or is it like a mobile thing, and where would you set it at? Just like I say, some of the stuff I'm gonna put at you, just something to kind of think about. Probably need to have more discussions later on, obviously maybe with the sheriff here as well, but just something to kind of think about throughout the process. Mostly here as a whole, I think it's back like 17 or 18. Kind of see how deep it was. We had two of those probably within like a year and haven't had any since. Both of them have been filled and fixed, but I'm sure if you guys have probably walked over here, there's like one section here where there's a hole that was fixed at one time. I think we took some of these last winter. A lot of this middle island here, I think when we redo it, it's gonna take it completely out and just keep it just a full from front to back with no islands in the middle. It'll clear up some space. A lot of people don't like parking down in some of these areas, and they get out and then it's kind of hard to drive through because they don't want to park clear down in some of the big tipped areas. I've got a couple of handicap spots here.
You know, not to complicate matters, but being as that law firm over here is connected right to that building, might be some cost sharing on that in terms of generator, because they lose power too, maybe they might be interested in pitching in on, you know, putting a generator on.
Yeah, I don't know how that would work with
How are we gonna
a
share?
county entity and
Yeah,
a
I'll say
public,
a sharing power.
you know, I don't know. There might be something, yeah.
Let them buy it.
Well, we don't own that building, we're not renting out that part of it.
So here's the roof area. I know we looked at several years ago. We got a quote, I think it was close to $60,000, and they were looking at putting a membrane roof over top of this. Let's say some of these I'll just kind of flip through. This is what it was before 2021. We put the seal. It's called Geico sealant, roof sealant. And we only did about the back third because we kept getting leaks down here and we could not find it anywhere. We had a contractor here. I don't know, we just couldn't find it, so we ended up just doing like this whole kind of back third of this section plus a little bit on the top.
When did you guys do that?
2021.
Any leaks?
So last winter we had no leaks in there whatsoever. So it seemed to work. It took 3 days. It took all of us 3 days to do it. So by the time you get up there, you gotta wash it, scrub it, wash it, let it dry, put a coat down, let it dry, go back and put another coat on. So, I mean, it worked. So far it's working good, but there's still another well over half of that whole roof that we haven't done. Knock on wood, we haven't had any leaks and it seems to be going okay, but there's got a pole there with a lot of stuff going on right above it as well. This here is the Old County home site. Obviously, secondary roads is right here. Some of the stuff that we mow, in case you don't know, we kind of mow out here in front of secondary roads. This little area here, right here, all around the conservation building here, out front, most of this whole side, except where it's brown. You see kind of this area where it's brown, we don't mow that. Come back here and mow around all the lagoons, this area here, and there's also a road back here that goes to the lake. I don't remember what the lake's name.
Lake Gone.
Lake Gone. We mow around that for conservation. So this conservation's here. Garage, sheriff's garage is right here. Secretary's got a yellow building there. This is the Pike Barn and the impound area right there. So this is sheriff's garage, something we look at some point. I mean, gutters rough. We don't have any leaks that I know of, but there's no cameras out there.
Is that where he keeps his tank and his boat and his helicopter?
No, this is this is
small for
where they
those.
keep
A lot of impound stuff.
Oh.
impound stuff,
Yeah.
impound and evidence stuff. So if you really think about it, if it's
There's a
20,
bicycle.
20 degrees out or 120 degrees out, this is where they're out there, you know, if it's processing some evidence. So like this stuff here is evidence. And as you can see pretty light through something. It's just not the most ideal place to probably be processing evidence and doing some of that stuff. That's a whole other conversation, but like I say, some of the stuff's just something for you guys to be aware of and kind of look at and see if you haven't seen it before. It has like a secondary level up there. I think emergency management had some stuff up there one time. I think we utilized them a little bit of space, but they got some space in the Pike Barn now because it's easier to get to.
Bless you.
A lot of these windows, panes are glass, they blow out, and we'll just replace them with some plexiglass. But some old books there, I don't even know what's in them, but they've been here forever. Impound lot. So we keep the loading trailers. We've got a couple back here in the back. Kind of a closer picture. Here's where, that's our storage. We have for office equipment or whatever people need some storage for, that's where we take it in those 2 40-foot containers. Juvenile has a suburban there, we usually bring it down during the summer, they use it, I don't think they used it all last summer, but it's out there since COVID, so it's kind of an overhang. This is where we store our trailer for the mowers, our snow equipment when we're not using it. The bike barn. Again, none of these areas have cameras at the moment. I know we were looking at that. We do a different system like the Blue Cod or something, maybe put a few cameras out there just so we have at some point. I know we've done some wind has got some of the roof on this and pulled it up, but I don't know whether we don't have any leaks.
There is cameras on there, but they're old ones from the jail, and they're just up there, they don't work.
Yeah, if we kind of look on the corner, we just put some
Deterrents.
deterrents out there.
As a deterrent.
They were great.
They were great.
They were great.
So,
Very cool picture.
yeah, the inside you can see we got our mowers and some of our storage. This is probably last fall. We had a lot of bikes where we put all the bikes. That's called the bike barn. This area in here is emergency management. They got some stuff they store there through this door. Maybe some slides here a little bit later on. We'll show the juveniles. Just some pictures of bikes. All those bikes are gone now. We sold them this summer on Gov Deals. It's an emergency management spot. Kind of cleaned it up. Finally got rid of the bikes and a bunch of that stuff. Give us a little more space, but we'll fill them all back up with bikes probably by next year. A lot of computer stuff. Offices saying we don't need this printer, these computers, a lot of storage.
I think some of the junk is state stuff too, it's not even.
Yeah. So this safe come out of the old county home. There's a couple of the
So to speak.
Asylum, Des Moines County
yeah, they were
Asylum
right when you walked in the
for the
wall.
insane.
Right when you walked in, they were to the left. You know, they build them into the buildings. I don't know what you call them. Cornerstones.
Cornerstone, yeah.
Yep. There was 2 of them in there, so at the time we wanted to keep them, so we knocked them out of there and kept them. So
I
they're
think we
both
should
there.
get Christmas
Well,
cards
yeah,
with
bring
that being
one
on the
up.
front of it.
Put right in the auditor's office up there.
Well, that's what we wanna
Well,
do, is cut it
they
down.
aren't
Wayne
really-
County
We don't need
Asylum
it.
for the
Where'd you see
insane.
that at?
See that big, right there?
Oh, the plaque.
Me and Randy chopped them out. And
Des
then-
Moines County Asylum for the
Well,
insane.
We've got the old picture out there, the county home that was out in, the county farm that was out in the ammunition plant. That's what that picture is hanging up out there.
Is the county farm?
Uh-huh, that's
I
what,
think-
and then
I think
that's when
one of
they
them
built
is
this old county home that's been torn down since then was built.
All I know is that cornerstone should not be hidden. That needs to be seen.
When we looked at
Well-
maybe trying to do something to cut just the face, you know, just to take a little portion of it, because there's a lot of stone there. But it was gonna cost a lot to do that, so another thing we can do in our spare time, when we got nothing else to do.
That safe looks very
That's
similar
why
to.
it's still sitting
what we
there.
did.
That's an old safe, it used to be in the front office area there. It's, you know, the fire protected stuff in it probably is no good, so it's something probably we'll list on case at some
It
point.
looks very similar to the one that we have in there, so.
Extremely
Man,
heavy.
we got some stuff we can sell.
Huh? Oh, yeah.
So this is the back area where juveniles, you know, juveniles used to have their kids on the weekends or whatever, you know, mow grass and do different things out, I think in the community or whatever. This kind of back section here is just kind of their space out there for their equipment. This is the tower out on Golf Course Road.
Got a lot of golf balls in that area.
We
I
pick
pick
up,
them up.
pick up some golf balls and that's where I get mine from.
That's where you get yours
Yep,
from?
the ones that are that's
I
over
refuse
there.
to buy.
So technically, this is all City of Wellington property. You can see it in this area. So I don't know, there was an agreement, I'm assuming at some point between the city and the county, I don't know where that is at, but this is where the
But
tower
one
is
time, didn't they
situated.
have the green over on that side of the road?
I'm not
Years
sure.
ago,
Years
long,
ago,
long
years
time ago.
ago,
Might have been.
there was a green on
There's
this.
a green on that side of the road, because I play a little golf, and I remember it was a deal, you'd hit it across that road. Of course, there'd be cars, maybe not coming, and
Yeah.
some golfers weren't quite as skilled as others.
Gee, I wonder why they quit
More
that.
than one golfer took off sprinting with the bag on his shoulder, to avoid having to pay for a windshield.
I hit one time and went over there and hit the cement and bounced up in the air. The car was coming and it come right down on top of that car. The guy stopped. He went like that. I went like that. He got the car and took off. I don't know. It had to put a dent in top of that car.
So there is 5-year inspections that have to be done, every 5 years. I think we just had them done in 2021, so, at least some of the inspections are done. And one of the things I'm kind of a little worried about is some of these old trees that are around. There's some that have fallen down, like on the regular fence that we have, but as you can see, some of these are pretty tall. And right here where this little fence is the guide wires that go up to the tower. We haven't had any fall on the guide wires yet, but there's a few that make me a little nervous, so that's one thing we gotta figure out is, since it's a city,
If that's the
city
city,
property, do we talk to them?
I
Is
would-
it something we do? Or is it
They-
Descom,
city.
they use that
911?
tower too, don't they?
What's
The
that?
city uses that tower too, along with the sheriff.
See, I don't know exactly what all is in there.
What's that guy wire attached to?
The tower.
That's a
The tower.
tower.
Yeah, that's what I mean, what's that guy wire attached to at the bottom?
Oh, they got big things in the
The
ground.
anchors
Yeah,
or?
there's big
Cement
anchors in
tanks,
the
big
ground.
anchors.
Yep,
The city's supposed to trim those trees. I'll handle it today.
Oh, okay,
so.
there you go.
I haven't reached out to anybody and discussed it, but
You need
it's
any,
just something that
you need any
That green
photos?
one.
I think it was.
No, he's got them.
I think that's where the
We've
green.
been having 40 years ago.
So you
I-
want me to
I
wait,
have
you want me to
not
wait, or do
done
you want me to go ahead and see what's up with it?
It doesn't matter, I mean, we're gonna have to have that conversation at some point. We just gotta sit down and figure out who's gonna do it or what we need to do. I tried looking on the, is it FAA rules, but there's different rules if it's 100, or if it's 200 feet and above or 200 feet and less. And I don't know, I just couldn't find it and I was done spending,
I think
I had
that,
a couple hours in it and I couldn't find what I wanted, so I needed.
how old is that tower?
It's back in the late 70s, I believe, mid late 70s.
When that tower went up, that's when that green went away, because I know that's where that green was at.
Oh,
On that side of the
I'm
road.
sure it was.
This is kind of what it looks like on the inside. Never been or seen the inside of it. Had like an old dispatch, I think, a little area there. I don't know if I don't think they used, for the longest time that was still kind of hooked up. I think that was kind of their backup. But I don't think it is any longer. I think a lot of that was changed. So there's some of the equipment they have in there. We have a little window air conditioner in there to keep it cool in the summer. There's a security alarm there. Obviously the generator, backup generator as well, it is right there. That was new, just, it seems like a couple years, but it might be 6 or 8 years. Yeah, just pictures of the tower, you kind of see how some of those
They don't, you're saying they don't use that equipment in there?
There's some they do.
Some do, I don't know if,
Yeah, Graybill.
I don't think they use like some of this stuff here anymore, but, some of that other stuff they do.
The rack would be like Graybill's, radio equipment.
Conservation, I think they moved somewhere around 2006 to 7. There's a new roof in 2014, block insulation in 2010. I know there was some discussion on that when one of the park rangers maybe retired about moving, their offices out to Big Hollow or something and maybe doing something different here, but I don't know what all was happening there, but I just kind of put this in to kind of show you a little bit of this place. If we're gonna continue to do anything out here, obviously we need to look at the parking lot at some point.
That used to be the activity room for the county home when it was out there.
Okay.
Yep, used to have a lot of activity out there.
Back in the day.
I used to go out and volunteer, sometimes my wife worked out there with some people.
And you can see all like these little lighter spots in the brick. That's kind of what they drilled in and shot insulation down into the brick to insulate the walls. And I don't remember what year that was, but that's kind of why those are, then they tried touching it up, but over time it looks a little worse than what it actually was when we did it. Could use a little paint, obviously, on some things. We need to replace this door here, I think. Actually, I'm gonna give the other door, it's on the back side of it. Kind of rusted through. Some flooring in there, that's a flooring that was put in back when we moved in a long time ago, and it's just, I think there's some areas there that just needs to be tile instead of carpet. So we look into the county attorney's office, so we moved in new carpet and new air conditioner and furnace units, 2017. If you look at this, this is the space here. Yes, technically, if you look at it, this whole over here on this west side is the banks. Now it's this whole parking lot. They don't give them any spots back, there to park. That's all banks. Even though we do take care of this along here, because the bank never did. I think Lisa had some shrubs and stuff removed and other things put in, but they just redid this whole parking lot this summer. Obviously, they put their signs basically right on the building.
We'll make them take it off the building.
It's not actually on. It's right,
It's
right
just
next to it.
about.
Yes. And they
Just
don't have
one-
a generator either.
Yeah, there's no generator power there either. They were without power. I think they ended up sending their people home because they
No,
didn't.
I think they ended up actually
They got a lot of
because
warnings back there about.
Some of them might
Yeah,
have.
They got a lot of warnings back there about little toe.
This used to be
whatever.
kind of a rock area and there was irrigation under there. The only reason I kind of knew about it is when they were doing that, they hit the irrigation system.
Yeah.
I went down there about how it was going on. So, been talking with them in the bank, like, hey, if you want to concrete up to the wall, by all means, go ahead. That's kind of what their plan was anyway, so instead of this being kind of like a gravel rock area with weeds growing in it all the time, it's just kind of a sidewalk per se. So this kind of side there, I say technically this is all banks, but we maintain it just because they never did, and I guess they consider part of it. They did put the signs at least up against the brick this time. They used to have them kind of out here towards, like where the bumper was. A gal jumped the curb once, hit one, and pushed the sign over into one of the windows in the back, a few years back. Busted the window out of the building. There a few weeks ago, we talked about, Lisa was in there talking about restrooms. This is what the restroom did look like. Got them all finished up. It's kind of what they look like now. So kind of a little before, a little after. The guys did a nice job and got them all redone, painted up, and they seem to be happy with that.
You're not supposed to let the rolls just hang down like that on the toilet. That's a pet peeve of mine, I don't like that.
So the jail, obviously, you see the area here that is the jail. The shed is no longer there, we tore it down because doors got fallen off of it. So it's another thing we've discussed many times about having a little garage or something for us, for some storage or something to work on the vehicles. Saying if we look at doing something like that, maybe put a couple bays in there for them to process their evidence and all that. Maybe in a place where there are cameras or something, it's not clear out somewhere else. I'd say just something to kind of think about for the future. Obviously, this parking lot was redone, I don't remember which year, but just like all concrete, it doesn't seem to last very long. Got patches in a lot of the cracks. I'll flip through a lot of these real quick. You all know the deal on the exterior. All those are, signed and planned to be done. The roof and the exterior, we can really kind of see in some of these days how all that stucco is really apart. that. Bring the new generator in. Got rid of all that there. Now it's just that hole there, which it's already had about 2 or 3 victims within the short time it's been there.
It's painted yellow and I got reflecting stuff all around it, but it's been hit several times.
And what's that hole for?
That's for the officers when they bring people into
Oh,
Southport.
okay.
Otherwise, they have to get out of their car and walk up the steps to push the button. That's the call.
Oh, okay.
That's the intercom. I would just put a new furnace unit in
Cheap feet, yeah, male
Feet.
GP.
Yep, so here's just a few shots of the roof. I'll click through them really quick. Obviously, that's all getting replaced. Taking all that rock ballast off. Replacing it here. So we get in some of these, this is a C84 multi-purpose room carpet. Looking at replacing the carpet in that room. This is the courtroom. At some point redoing the carpet, maybe some paint in there.
Those carpets are original from '95.
This here is
Does judges,
female.
judges ever go out there anymore, or is it just all video
I
court?
don't think it's very seldom.
I'm about to say it's gonna be a special situation is what they told me.
They probably use this room more for depositions, I'm assuming now,
Yeah.
than anything. You'll see it just packed with lawyers and some inmates doing depots in there.
And when they got more than one attorney wanting to talk to clients, they'll use that room and stuff like that too.
This is female max shower. So the last time the jail inspector was here, he said we should really have like a 5-year plan of getting some of these things done. On like some of these showers and different projects within the jail. So these are some of the things that are on our list. Hopefully it don't take 5 years to get them all done, but it may. But at least it's part of the plan, the female max shower, the epoxy, the shower area. Paint just didn't seem to stick very long. New light fixture. This is the female day room. Same thing, epoxy kind of the floor. This is female GP shower. This is the library ceiling. We had a roof was leaking through there, so that got the leak pretty well fixed, and they just had this ceiling part fixed this week. So it no longer looks like that. So that part of it has been fixed. Male GP shower. Same thing.
All these male GP showers we have done, I think twice since I've been working maintenance. But they get used so often that even the epoxies that we use come off. That's why we're looking into this trowel epoxy that lasts for like years and years. It's a lot more expensive, but it lasts.
GP showers. Other side GP shower.
So how long ago do you think you did that last show? How long ago do you think you should take it to look like that again?
Probably 7. I don't think we have it. I could go back and look
So
at
the
this.
general rooftop units.
I was just
are
curious if you know off the top of your head,
2018.
just.
New water heaters, 2017, a new freezer and cooler in 2016, male GP new paint, was 2014, female GP new paint was 2018.
So 14 and 18, some of those showers will be down. 18, yeah, it's not very long, that's not very long.
6 to 8 years ago.
How much extra, what is it, probably double for the?
It depends on who you get.
Well, you've
Yeah,
got
it's
quite a
about
bit left
double,
to go.
but it lasts.
I've got an appointment after bed here. I'm gonna
Okay.
go to.
Yeah, I got a little bit yet.
Huh?
Okay, got a little bit yet. I'll go as fast as I can.
Well, you got another 10 minutes or 15 or?
Probably, yeah, 10, 15 minutes. So I'll try and run through these. So this
Pick
is,
around a little bit here.
the sprinklers, in GP, they keep busting around it and breaking them, so we gotta get them fixed. I think we're gonna put some
Metal plates.
metal plating around there, so they quit doing that. M1D door. This is male max shower, and light fixtures, special status, swing dorm room. I'd like to pull this old tile up. This tile you gotta wax. Multiple problems there is, for one, the jail's been so full. I mean, you gotta take it out, you gotta strip it, you gotta wax it, let it dry. Just don't have time to do that, or just ship all those inmates out. So we think it'd be better long-term, we could just pull all that tile out, epoxy that floor, and not have to worry about waxing and moving people in and out.
With the good epoxy.
Yep. This is the day, same swing day room, same thing. Swing shower, sprinkler head, those get rusted and have to be replaced. We replaced a lot of those, the light. This is the sally port area, looking the same thing, either paint or epoxy for that to help protect that concrete obviously from the salts and stuff that come in the vehicles in the winter. This is the back, kind of our shop area. I can see there's not a lot of room. There's the water heaters there. This is the water pressure system. This is kind of the back mechanical room area. This is the hatch to get up to the roof. So there's really not a lot of room. So like that heater that we just did, you basically, I think they had a duct lift or something to lift it up, but like some of the fan motors and stuff, we just
Yeah, actually use a rope to
run
pull some
a
stuff up.
rope
Yeah.
down and pull it up off the outside of the building. Kind of a little shop area, we don't have a lot of room, so like our floor machines, they're all in the break room. That's where we have to store some of that stuff. Cottonwood complex. In this whole area, this is the Optima is right here, in this little section of the community services building. The rest of this is community service. This here is the residential care facility, this here is the garage, and the crisis center is right here. This is the garage that we usually have the tractors where we store the ice melt and some of our tools and equipment that we kind of need. We don't have room elsewhere, but kind of need access to them fairly quick. And there's one of the vehicles in there.
Ken gets parked his car in there, huh?
Yep.
You know, you guys ought to take that over. You don't work for the county anymore.
That's the thing,
I'm serious.
I'm about to say, he is
Huh?
true, you tell the truth.
with the truck with the plow and the spreader on it won't fit in the garage.
Oh,
That's
Okay.
kind of one of the problems too, is
It's our
like
car,
we're
though.
needing to work on the
Huh?
plow.
It's our car though.
that doesn't make any difference.
No.
We're paying us back for it,
Yep.
so we shouldn't have to, we charge you more for the garage then.
So this is
$35 a month.
the sunroom. When you go through the sunroom, there's a set of doors there. It's kind of a little maintenance area where we keep some supplies and some tools for out there. On this kind of the west side of that care facility, the fence line, the gazebo, care facility. I think I've talked to you guys many times about the roof on the care facility. About how it's doing that. We still get spots like this every once in a while. I think we had a couple this year. This was a ridge cap that we pulled up a few years back. That's not like pulling anything up. That's just, you see the shingles buckled, you pull the shingles up, and that's the way, that's what you see.
What kind of nails did they use?
I don't remember, but it was for the steel studs.
Problem is most of them
When they hit
Screws.
when they hit. So if you look at here, they didn't even,
They hit steel
Wow.
studs
they
and
didn't
didn't
even
go
get,
in
they didn't even get
and
in.
pushed it up, didn't it?
So a lot of those
Yeah.
didn't get put in. So what we did is when we have to tear it apart, we screw it down. We don't nail it down, we just screw it down, so we know it's not coming out.
But shouldn't they have, so who did that?
Yeah, it was probably 2004 or 5-ish,
Yeah.
Yeah, long time ago.
long time
I
ago.
think it was McCamm's.
I
I think it was broker.
I think at that time, they told me that they elected to save a little money, and they didn't have it inspected.
And what?
They didn't have I don't think the
They had a lot of issues out there.
issues out there, they didn't have anybody from the architect.
They didn't hire a general contractor.
And they didn't, nobody was there to inspect some of this stuff. I don't remember, I just remember hearing bits and pieces of it.
That was kind of right when I got hired, was, I think, the crisis, or the transitional apartments, the community services building was already built, and the care facility was pretty much built, studded in, and roof and all that was already done, but I kind of got in just right on the tail end of that. This is in the basement of the care facility. You can see this section here is gated off, so these records in here are some county attorney's records. A lot of that come from the old county home. There's a door actually on the west side that's got a room full of boxes of records as well. But that's kind of where we have them stored to try and contracts, we don't really have a place for them. I think some of them too came from the vault, we moved from the vault out
Because
there after that.
during COVID, they had somebody go through a lot of those, and they did get rid of a lot of those
I'm
files.
gonna take you out there and put you in that cage, you got to read it.
This is where Optima's at. It's kind of a nice place to use for the voting precinct. They let us use that. This used to be all open, but when they had case managers, I think Brian, Patty, and Ken had moved over and we built those 3 offices there. I think they kind of wish some days they would have it all be open again. So it might be something that, I hate to say it, we may look at. Because they have like 40-some people there for their Thanksgiving dinner. Just not a lot of room. I think we'd still like to maybe keep an office, but maybe I think do some kind of expand that out again if they continue to have good reception with a lot of people showing up. So like during COVID and a little after, it wasn't really getting utilized at all, but
Yeah.
you go out there now and there'll be, 6, 10 people in there.
Good.
Pretty much every time I've been out there, there's a lot of people, so it's definitely getting used. Good service, so
Well, I'm glad to hear
have to keep up
being
on them
used.
and make sure they keep things cleaned up.
And if they open that up a little bit, that would make it a little more roomier for the precinct too.
Yeah, yeah, we got people walking through, get a good crowd going through there, so, nice little place. So it's kind of Optima in the back door there. The crisis center, I didn't take any pictures inside of it. On the back side, that's where the generator's at. All 3 of those buildings all have generators that cover the whole building. This is kind of all the meters for them, because it used to be the transitional apartments, it was gonna cost too much to put them all on one, so they have a lobby and then 6 rooms, it's all on separate meters. So I talked to you guys earlier this year about the issues we had with water in that one room and the roof, on how this is broke down, we have some similar. This is a wood truss roof, as compared to the metal roof on the other building, but had to replace some of the decking on here. I'll put some supports, 2x4 supports in between here. I think some of that could have been avoided had there been those clips in between all the plywood. Different things would have helped for sure. I think there were some maybe issues with some truss spacing as well, but kind of is what it is. Kind of already went through a lot with you guys, so I'll skip through there pretty quick. DHS, this is the new DHS place. I just took these the other day. We still do not have a sign out front. I don't know what's kind of taking them so long, but I know there was some issues with the person had this front area with a lot of people trying to, DHS people go into their business looking for DHS, so.
Yeah.
Now they got some arrows on some of the windows there. They got a little sign here. We need to, hopefully they get to working on getting some signs, more permanent signs put up. It's kind of the back area, they just, Manuel Weber replaced this whole back concrete area there. Cause they had some issues with this door, they couldn't get it open all the way because it was hit by concrete, it was pushed up, so. This is kind of their main lobby area. Into kind of their cubicle space, kind of hard to get a good picture with all the cubicles in there, they even have offices around the outside. Kind of break room there. There's some pictures of like the floor. I think talked to you guys about some things when they first move in, some of these walls and a couple of these back rooms that weren't painted all the way, didn't have ceilings in them. It's kind of some of these pictures here. They have since corrected all that, got all those rooms painted. Like this one, they put a drop ceiling. There's 2 rooms I think that didn't have it. They got those all done. So that's all good shape. That's their break room. This was before the floor was waxed, they got all that taken care of, got the floor all waxed up, but, that's another thing, as part of the contract says, it says that we shall be responsible for all maintenance, repairs, replacements, and alterations, so, that's something I'm happy with you guys on, you guys' expectations of what our department's gonna cover and what we're gonna make them, be able to cover. This is kind of the old DHS building where stuff that they left this whole filing system. basically, we just got rid of all this stuff. We either went to altar or the dump. If it was metal, we took it to altar. All the network cords, they just cut off. So, let's see, new health department site, just look at that. There's a very, very preliminary, kind of a site view, but that's probably gonna change. I don't know how much, but that will definitely change. That was a very, very preliminary site. So as you can see, we're gonna have a lot of, either way, we're gonna have a significant more amount of stuff to go around and take care of. When it comes to mowing and snow removal. The old health department, just some different views from that. Stayed around 42, new generator in 2005, 2 new furnace units, 2007 AC units or 1996, 2008 new train furnace unit in the basement, AC units 95, the ductless split in the clinic. I'll get to it, but the main board went on it, out on it this summer, and it was gonna be about $4,700 to replace, so we have not replaced that. Everything seems to be going well, the refrigerators and freezers are holding temps, so this time we didn't see spending the money.
Rodney, I'm sorry, I gotta go. I had an
Okay.
appointment, I didn't know it was gonna be this long.
Sorry.
See you, Jim.
See you, Jimmy.
See you, Jim.
Have a good one.
One thing, we've replaced a couple sections of this wall here. There's still another section, probably at some point we need to, depending on what happens, we need to look at, just a generator. This back wall here on the bottom, this top part was done years ago, this bottom part's, we're gonna need to do something with it at some point. The roof, here's that split unit that goes up to the clinic that is no longer working. The sidewalk, a lot of that water's run down, washed underneath, and a lot of that sidewalk is pretty unlevel, it's even washed out some here. So it's just something if we're gonna keep it, we need to look at maybe replacing some sidewalk at some point. Also this corner here, all that water runs from the parking lot down to this corner, to this area and runs off here and then down the alley. So there's something we maybe need to take a look at for their biggest thing with the health department is a question, what are we gonna do with it when we move to the new place? Something to be thinking about. Next thing, security access. So this is in our office, kind of key room, or key equipment here. This is the first panel that was put in, put some exterior doors, this is the newer panel put in. So we'll take care of all the keys. We've got room for more boards. This is the security access panel at CPC office. And the new one just put in at the residential care facility. So the reason to bring up the security access, and have this stuff here is, when we talk about the health department building, right now, we're using what's called Prox cards. So Prox cards are, back in like proximity card.
Yeah.
So pre-1975, you had like the mag stripe, so it was like this stripe, and then you had kind of swipe it through. They went from that technology to a Prox card, which is, what we currently have. So they call it 125 kilohertz Prox. So what it is, it's a binary code is specific to the card, and then when you get it present or close to the reader through radio frequency identification, it acknowledges that binary code between the reader and the card, and that's what allows it to get through. Well, that was 19 fobs and cards.
Oh,
So-
those work too, like the fobs?
Same thing.
Yep, same thing. So, that's technology. Obviously, technology's come a long way since 1975. So Fox cards can be fairly easily cloned or accessed. So when we were talking to the new health department, I'm like, I don't wanna put a brand new building in there and have 1975 technology for security access, because there's so many, there's probably 4 different generations of newer stuff out there that we could do. So one of them is called a signal reader, which it would still read some Fox card. Talking about wanted to look at something that was new, but yet it's gonna take a little bit of time to maybe to bring everything else up to where we need it to, or unless we had to replace all the readers at one time, because you can't have like a newer card with like a chip in it. The Prox reader will not read it. But you can have like a newer reader. So like these are Prox readers. When you see these on the doors, when I say a door is hardwired, it means you have this panel here. So like this red board, that's the main motherboard. So you can do 2 doors on that. Each one of these cards will do 2 doors. When I say hardwired, I mean there's a wire like this yellow cable. There's a wires that run from one of these boards to the specific door. So like there is one we call them banana cables that goes to this door right here, goes all the way down to the basement to our panel right here.
And is that the same, are those 2 doors on the same one probably?
No, so that one's a wireless one. This one is hardwired. So to have hardwired, you need a board, you need to have a cable run from the cabinet to the door, you have to have a reader, and then you have to have a door strike. So when you hit the reader with your card, it tells the board, okay, this person has that access, unlock this, so it'll unlock the electric strike and let you through the door. These wireless ones, these are called ILS wireless locks. These were probably some of the first wireless locks we had, which makes sense. So in the courthouse here, we had a lot of doors we wanted to secure, but to be able to get wire from the basement to all these doors, some of these door frames are just solid concrete, and you just can't get into them. So it made sense to do the wireless locks. Well, this specific wireless lock, if we update, like I wanted to, so the new readers, the new stuff, obviously your software has to be updated. So if you update that software, we're at like 7.6 now, on guard 7.6. If you get to 8.1, which the newest version is 8.2, but if you get to 8.1, these wireless locks are no longer supported.
What do those numbers represent?
What's that?
The 8.1, the 7.
That's like the version, so like.
Okay. I wasn't sure if that was.
Yeah, so like every year, if you
I got
put
you.
updates, they'll go 7.1, 7.2, whatever. So
those are
long story
almost,
short, discussion was with the health department, like, hey, we want, some newer technology there, but I wanna make sure to all of our other county buildings, we're not gonna get too new to where we can't use our other stuff. But we need to start looking at updating our old stuff, because when we get to a certain point, these locks are no longer gonna be supported, so what are we gonna do? So there is some technology out there, now it's called switch tech, which is this, and it goes off Bluetooth, which obviously you have to have the newer software to be able to do it. So this is like all the handles on all the doors have this. So these are the cores that we make and use keys for. This specific thing goes right inside the best core. So you basically pull this out like this, put this core in there, and now it's wireless. You will have like a gateway in like the hallway, just like these other wireless ones do. There's a gateway on each floor that it talks to the wireless lock, to the network, to the software. So
and you can even use apps on your phone.
yeah, this is called switch tech.
It's just showing up.
It's
That's nice.
Bluetooth, so you can do tablets, watches, phones. You have to buy like a certain amount of credentials. So here's where it gets like Prox right now. It costs you free cards, but there's no annual fees or nothing like that. So, I mean, it's just the way the industry is now. Everybody's getting money for everything. So now there would be, let's say you have 10 employees, you buy 10 credentials. You never really lose them, but you will pay like a small fee every year for those credentials. But let's say I use one credential for, I'm pretty sure you could use it for like I have a phone, a tablet, a smartwatch, whatever. That all uses one credential. Say I lose my phone, I don't lose that credential, it still stays within the system. Before some of the previous versions, if you lost your phone, you'd have to buy another credential. Now they kind of got away from that, to where
What a
you buy
hustle,
a credential,
man.
you can still use it if somebody uses their phone or does, whatever, but yeah, you could just, with this thing's called switch tech, I'm still learning about it. There's more information out there, but the way this works is like you pull up, you touch it to wake it up. You can Bluetooth your phone. You just hold your phone up to it and it'll tell you or recognize whether you have access to that door or not and let you in or not let you in.
Is that expensive?
Honestly, this is, that's the thing with
I mean, obviously, we don't have to
replacing
mess with any door, or,
Well, that's the thing, you don't have to buy a board, you don't have to buy a reader, you don't have to buy electric strike, you don't have to pull wire to the door. It's all wireless through this.
I don't know why you're bringing it now. I've been trying to get you to do this for 3 years now, man. It's about time.
But this
pretty slick.
technology will only use if, when you update the software. I'm like, hey, that'd be nice to try right now. I'm like, well, that would be great, but your software won't work with it. So you need to update your software, so.
That's pretty cool.
So, some of this I haven't even run past Colin yet. It's still kinda out there, but I mean, I know.
But how
Tom
much,
maybe
so,
a
but
little bit about-
did you get some prices on the software for that though? How much is the software for?
Well, the software would be just with the normal updates that we do every year. There's like $1,700 for Linnell annual fee. So all those updates come with that.
Straight up.
Will they allow you to like, when you purchase the software for that, is it for one install or is it a site install? Or would they allow us to do I know it'd be kind of a pain, you have to get into 2 different systems, but if we did, we left the old system as it was, so that the readers still work at least at the time being, but then it did a new install with the new software as a separate install to put the new stuff on.
That's the thing, I think still all the old box stuff will work with the new stuff. You just can't use new readers with the old software. You can use, if you had the new software, it'll still read the Fox, it'll still read the I-Class, it'll read COS, it'll read all the different.
What I'm getting at, I guess, is if we did 2 separate installs, that way you could start putting the new stuff on the new software, but you wouldn't necessarily have to replace the whole damn thing at once, with the new
Well,
software.
You wouldn't have to anyway if you did the update, because it still reads the old stuff.
Oh, I thought you said
Right,
the reader
right.
wouldn't work with the new software, correct?
No, the new readers won't work with the old software.
With the new software,
Yeah.
they'll work.
So like,
Oh,
if
okay.
we say we just wanna do the health department, we put all new Signo readers in there and newer cards. So if they would wanna come to the courthouse,
Then they wouldn't work.
their card, because it's a different card, may not work. I would have to check into that. But if they had a Cox card, they could, if they just give them another Cox card, which kind of defeats the purpose because you could clone them or do whatever, they could use it here or they could use it there. But if you're gonna have that technology, you would use those chip card, the smart cards instead of the old Fox cards. So yeah, it gets kind of confusing. That's a whole nother work session we can go through, but it's something to think about, because I think when we start talking about the health department, I think we need to, I would like to go to the more secure, security access stuff. That thing, some of those lead time, like those Signal readers, I think I got an email on them, those are like 40 weeks out, just for the reader part at the door. That's what we put on the care facility. So like the exterior doors at the care facility's got the newer updated readers, but it still reads all the clocks. It works with our system just fine. Like the software, it's not an additional software, it's just part of their Linnell updates. They just come out every year and hey, we're updating the security patches or whatever.
I thought you meant like those readers wouldn't work if we updated the software to the 8.1.
These here, the wireless locks, if you update to the 8.1 version, they're no longer supported. They will still work.
They'll still work,
They'll
they're just
still
not
work with your
supported.
Pox card, they're just not supported. So if you have some kind of issues or
They're gonna tell you to.
or
replace it.
whatever, yeah. But these readers, like this reader here and all the readers we have are all Prox. So when we update, we have to either continue to use Prox cards, which is still the old technology, or we get new cards or smart cards, and we'd have to go around and replace all those readers. Which the ones that are hardwired, you don't have to worry about the electric strike, you don't have to worry about none of that, you just would have to replace the reader. So, it's just so that card can talk to that reader and tell you. Like I said, I could probably go on for hours on that whole deal on how all that works, but, in which we may at some point when we get to talking about it. Last thing's kind of Tiger Grant. We talked about, we are in phase 4 here. Been to several of the meetings. What it looks like for us. So if you look at here, this lighter gray area, this is the current sidewalk along the courthouse here.
That angle is Supervisor Island?
Yeah, right here, Supervisor Island, I believe.
Okay.
So this lighter gray here is current sidewalk. So what they're looking at doing is currently 4 lane, they're gonna make this a 3 lane. So 1 lane heading north, 1 lane heading south with a turn lane in the middle. They're gonna bring this clear on the sheriff's side, bring that clear out, bring it in. And they're gonna have 1, 2, 3 spots plus a handicap spot. On the sheriff's end side of it, if you see this square here, that's, I call it a planter. So it's gonna be like an open spot, they're gonna put like plants and stuff in. It's 44 feet long by 6 feet wide.
The planters are 6 foot wide.
44 feet long.
44 feet long.
I knew they were gonna
by
be long, I
6
didn't know they were 6 feet.
What, do you gotta wander down the street a little bit if you park there to get to the sidewalk?
Well, the
So-
courthouse.
How in the heck would they have that 6 feet wide?
Which, I don't know, I've voiced my displeasure many times. For one, about no communication about any of this that was going on, or we had absolutely no say-so in any part of this whole situation. It was just, years ago, I went to a meeting and they were talking, it was initial talks, and then
They didn't ask for any input
next
from you?
next thing I hear is, hey, here's the plan, or we're starting construction next, whenever. I went to a meeting last October, and there was a business, talked to a gal when we left. She had a business on Jefferson Street, and she had no idea what was happening. Nobody had ever contacted her. So, I don't know, that's neither here nor there, the project's happening, it's going through. But yeah, there's a big planter there, which, I don't know, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me, so you can have,
40,
you can have people parking right here, opening the doors into the only 1 lane of traffic.
And then
which
walking
you'll-
down that lane of traffic.
Walking in that 1 lane of traffic, and you all seen the traffic that comes through your semis. Yeah, and then they can't just walk straight across, they're gonna have to walk to the end of that, which
What's
I'm
that,
not
what's
sure.
that dark?
that wasn't the original plan.
Well, on each end of that planter, it's darker. What's that dark thing?
Honestly, I'm not sure. The plans are like 350 pages long, and my computer
The
like.
3 lanes was not a part of the original, I'm gonna get cussed for that, but that wasn't part of the original.
I'm not sure.
At that initial meeting, I told him, I'm like, I don't think 3 lanes is the best way to do it down here. I'm like, I don't know if y'all know the traffic down here on this end, but.
So it's actually the same as the white grid.
That's the new. This is the old.
Oh, the existing, so that's new sidewalk.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this light gray is all the existing.
And they've got bump outs, is that a?
Yeah.
This is a bump out.
Yeah,
So
see.
here on the courthouse side, if you look at this section kind of right here is the parking lot. So they're gonna have the bump out here on the corner, we're gonna have a little drive here to get out into that 1 lane. So if you look at this, we keep this 1 lane, you have this bump out in the middle, and
Thanks,
obviously the
Colin.
bump out here, you're gonna go in here and you're gonna have to try and
I
turn
can't
out.
figure out, that just drives me.
1 lane right there.
With the bump
right
outs,
next to the
they're so
intersection.
big, yeah, they stick out so far, it's like to encourage people to walk, but it's like to walk on Main Street. That was just for certain parts of the, you know what I'm saying, the interior, like on Jefferson, around the walking areas, but for Main Street, that was supposed to be wide open originally, it was not supposed to be
Well, ask that
3
question
lanes with
meeting,
these.
and
big
their
bump
response
outs.
is, this is for the pedestrians. This is to slow the traffic down, this is for
Not for Main
pedestrian
Street,
friendly,
it's
not
supposed
for
to be.
vehicle friendly.
Main Street was not supposed to be on that plan for
Well,
walking
and
around.
also, I mean, you, when we get ready for elections, you're parking out in front with the trailers so that you can load up the equipment.
Yeah, so we're gonna have to rethink,
Any
because we
deliveries?
generally use this
Wow.
area right here to park the truck and trailer on, load things up. We're not gonna be able to do that.
Any of our deliveries and big trucks parked there.
Semis parked right there.
Oh, dude, 3 lanes for Main Street, I can't
I don't
say
know.
that.
I bring this up just because kind of this is what's happened. I voiced my opinion on a few things, and it pretty much goes nowhere. So you all are more than welcome at any time to come to any of the Tiger Grant meetings. They have them on the 1st and 3rd Wednesday of every month. like I say, the plan's already done, but.
I'm about to say, there's
we're
no
not there
change in
yet.
stuff, yeah, there's no change in stuff now, except for in front of the courthouse.
There's 2 planners in front of the
That,
courthouse.
So,
yeah,
yeah,
that,
here's-
that may be something worth saying, hey,
So
man.
this little gap here is about where the steps are gonna be at for the courthouse. So yeah, there's 2 44-foot planters on each side. The craziest thing,
Just 6
a
foot
couple,
wide,
a
that
couple
just-
meetings ago, when I was looking at this, I'm like, why do you all have a handicap spot right here, out front, where that person with the handicap, maybe they're gonna have to grab their wheelchair or the walker's gonna open their door into the only one southbound lane of traffic. And then when they get there, depending on if there's a car parking right in front of them, they're either
Right.
gonna have to go down the street and come up here or go up the other way to be able to get. They're surely not gonna be able to just wheel their wheelchair over neither one of them planters. They're gonna have to go to one end of the block, they're gonna have to go half a block just to get around, to get on the sidewalk to get to where they need to be.
They're gonna be parallel parking in that single lane of traffic too.
I'm like, this makes absolutely no sense to me.
It's not gonna be pretty.
So, anyway, I voiced, some of my concerns with some of this, with some of them, and maybe they'll take a look at it when they get closer to it. I know they got a lot of issues and headaches with everything they're doing now. They're really not looking this far ahead. I am, because, you know, at some point it's gonna get to us, but they're not, because they're concerned on what they got going on. So when they get to Court Street here, from here on is gonna be asphalt, everything. This will all be new concrete, that'll be all asphalt overlay. But this will all be, 3-lane, kinda has its plan. Like I say, there's a lot of plans to it, I just kinda put 2 on here. This is kinda the best one to show you. I can't pull up on my computer because it just takes forever because the file's so big and there's 350 pages of this type of stuff on there to be able to go through there. Figured I already had you guys sleeping by now anyway, to be able to get through it. But just so you know, kinda that's what we have to look forward to. So spring of next year, they're gonna be starting at tearing up from Valley to Columbia Street on the west side. At least that was the plan. I missed last Wednesday's meeting because I had a meeting, I couldn't make it. But the previous meeting, that was kind of their outlook, is starting in the spring from Valley to Columbia Street, tearing out the west side. Another reason why the parking lots, I was hoping to really get done before, in this fiscal year.
Which
I mean,
parking
kind of
lot?
that was, both parking lots on the courthouse, to get that done. I'd given these plans to Brian's guys, so they kind of knew where the sidewalk was gonna kind of marry up, what their plans were with how the Tiger grant was coming through, because we didn't wanna go over top of things that they're already gonna be doing. If we could get it done, then they come in and mesh it all in, it would be fine, but, I mean, if you've all been down through Jefferson or Main Street when all that construction is going on, I do not wanna be doing the south parking lots or the sheriff's office parking lot, even if they're gonna be just here at Columbia, because this intersection is probably gonna be messy enough anyway. They'll do the streets, there's kind of a plan in there, they'll do one side of the street, they'll always try and keep a sidewalk open. When they do the other side of the street, we'll have to look at Court Street, that's where everybody goes in to get into the sheriff's office parking lot. There will be, if they block Court Street off, you'll have to go down to, I don't know, what is that, High Street or whatever it is, that next one down. Then they'll have to come up that alley behind all those buildings down there and through and then into the parking lot. So there's gonna be I don't know, you guys are probably gonna get maybe some complaining from employees or, you know, the public when it gets down this far and people can't, you know, can't walk or can't get to wherever. We're just gonna, I mean, that's the way those businesses, they've had to tackle a lot of that. We just haven't got to it yet, so I've been trying to get to the meetings and see some of what their issues that they've had with the construction along the way, kind of the things that they've done to alleviate some of that thing. That's kind of why, one reason too, I asked the supervisor's meeting about the parking lots, if they could use it for parking for the Memorial Auditorium stuff there quite a few months ago, you know, when they had stuff tore up down there, they were looking for places to park people and maybe bus people in, so. Trying to be good neighbors with the downtown community, working with them, so hopefully when it gets to our section, we need a hand or some help.
They'll be good to us
They'll be
back.
good to us.
That's what we hope.
When do you
but yeah,
expect them to get here?
Next,
I'm assuming kind of next, late summer, fall. I think it's supposed to be completed by end of 2023, but I'm not 100%, I haven't looked at that in a while. And it kind of all depended on how construction goes. Obviously, weather plays a lot into that, how much they get done. You know,
Well, they're
obviously,
playing
in
with it
construction,
anyway,
they found stuff that they, you know, you're always gonna find stuff you didn't know about and things you have to reconfigure and do whatever, but as of right now, that's kind of their plan for that, for this area out in front of the courthouse, so we'll have to do some reconfiguring on how we're gonna get people in and out of the courthouse, maybe, you know, especially when they get done with the street and then they start closing down the sidewalk to tear that sidewalk out, how are we gonna get handicapped people into the courthouse when they tear that whole west side, or you know, this whole west side of the street, or the whole front sidewalk out?
Hey,
You know,
did you say you got some bids, or no, on the parking lot?
we got some bids, but it was kind of over the threshold, so it's something we gotta go out to bid for.
Big time over the threshold?
So, yeah, I was thinking it was around 300,000 for all of it.
Dang, man. Oh, for both
all-
of them?
For
For,
both south parking lots and the sheriff's office.
oh, okay, okay.
So like I say, kind of been, talked to Brian, like when we did the alley, and like I say, his guys have done a lot of the measuring, whatever we need to do, and working on the plan, and he told me today, one of the things we were working at is that top parking lot, about the water coming across it, how we can get it, we need to put like a drain and run it under the ground, so we don't have the same situation with water running across the sidewalk.
Right.
So he had been waiting, I know the city engineer had left or whatever, there's some communication stuff there that they didn't get back with him right away on, so he thinks they found kind of a solution that'll work, so. They're still in the works on kind of buttoning that up. As soon as they kind of get those plans or whatever ready, then we can look at going out and bid and seeing what we can get done.
Thomas, do we got the money to get aggressive on that parking lot?
Well, I
Look
mean,
at his
it
face.
was-
Look at his face, man.
I mean, it was put in there, when we talked about it, that was one of the things that, you know, we put in. Obviously, we didn't anticipate the jail being as much as it was, but I think we put a certain amount in for the jail and some for the parking lots.
I think we did. Well, we'll know a lot more when we see values and get a look at the budget numbers with predicted, you know, estimated ending fund balances for fiscal '23. See where we are after the first 6 months.
Yeah. So, I mean, we have DESCOM too, we have security access for, on the security access part, we do stuff for. We no longer do anything for DHS on the security access. We used to do all their cards for them, so we no longer do that, but I'm sure there's a lot of stuff I didn't cover that I wanted to, and I forgot or didn't mention. There's kind of a lot here, but there's still a lot more out there, but it kind of gives you an idea of some of the places, some things we got going on and what we're looking forward to.
One thing I'd be curious to know for budget amendment with those parking lots, you might be able to just ask Brian, get a ballpark duration, you know, how long is it gonna take to do this? Is it gonna take a month, is it gonna take 2.5 months, you know what I mean? So that'd be interesting to know.
Yeah, I was hoping we got to it a lot sooner, but I know they're busy with a lot of stuff going on, so we obviously didn't beat the winter weather, so it's looking springtime at the earliest we can get it done, but
I think winter's here.
if we get too far out, I don't know, I mean, I'd like to get it done, but I just don't wanna get too close to that other construction going on, cause it's gonna be bad enough, I think.
And I don't know, but as I look at what's going on, I think pretty much all that Tiger Grant stuff's behind, isn't it? Behind schedule?
I think they're pretty
Yeah,
close.
but they're
pretty
gonna
close
be,
on schedule.
they got to run behind schedule, but the guys came in, they got that road work done, so they should be on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they should be on par for.
Okay.
Last I knew, they were pretty well on schedule. Yeah, there was stuff running, you know, a little bit behind, but not like months behind or
Okay, I thought,
weeks, and they were
I
able
thought
to
they got
kind of
behind,
fix
but if they
things
brought
up.
it, okay.
Biggest thing I think on their end of it is the railroad track situation there, down by like the sombrero, that whole deal, that's something that could take
Aren't they fighting
6
with
to
the
12
railroad
months.
about that?
Oh, yeah.
They're arguing with the railroad on that deal, so they were hoping to get some sort of temporary resolution, but I'm not. They were supposed to have some meeting, before the last Tiger Grant meeting, and there was gonna be an update. Like I said, I had to miss it, cause I had.
Is the governor involved in this? or-
Not much
Apparently
argument with the railroad.
Apparently they went all the way up and the governor's involved, they got a lot of senator, I don't know, Congress, senator, whatever, governor's all involved in the whole ordeal, but
Sure.
I got my own guesstimations and opinions on that, but
Yeah,
I'll
it's
leave
gonna,
them to myself.
it's probably wise, I think I'll do the same. The camera's still on? Is this thing on?
But, yeah, I don't know, it's definitely gonna be interesting, so we'll see how it goes. I'm with you, I don't think Main Street's especially this spot right down here is good for 3-lane traffic, but.
Yeah, no, I think it's
I'm
gonna
not
work
the
great for
expert.
other areas, for the interior, I think it'll work great, but, Main Street,
There's so much traffic comes
I
through
have to
there,
go to
semis.
their next meeting now and see what they gotta say.
So you guys have any questions for me?
No, you put Brucey to sleep. Thanks for waking up, bud.
Thank you,
I
Ron.
knew we wouldn't have time to go through it all at,
Yeah.
all at the budget hearing by the time we get through budgets and line items and everything going on, but.
I don't see those planners adding anything.
It's just gonna be a
It's
headache
just
for us, cause we're gonna have
It's
Headache.
cosmetic.
That's what I
It's
mean.
just to beautify
And then
downtown.
after a couple of years when it's mostly weeds growing in.
I see it as kind of like whenever they made Jefferson Street the walking wall. And
Yeah.
it was there for, what, 20 years, and then it all got tore out.
Was it 20
I don't
years?
know.
No, I
It was in
I
the
remember.
70s that
I
that
about
was
to say, it
done.
was
And I can't remember when they
But,
tore it out,
yeah.
but.
Yeah, when they do that section there in front of the courthouse, we'll have to work with them. Miller's supposed to be getting me a bid on laying that tubing in the sidewalk right out front. Because initially that hydronic system went all the way out to the curb. So we already had the insulation and tubing to do the sidewalk, but instead of doing it when we did the steps and having them come through with and tearing everything out, we didn't want the
Right.
chance of some miscommunication or whatever.
Right on,
And also, that way, the concrete wall looked the same, everything will be,
right on.
so that way, when they get to that point, I've already given them some plans and talked to them about it. When we get to that point, we will be working with them, with our contractor to lay the tubing in there, and their contractor pour the concrete.
We're gonna save them some money on taking away those two, plant holders, so we're
We-
gonna save them some money.
We should have traded them that island for 4 lanes.
You doggone right,
Yeah.
Tom. You ain't a
Yeah.
kid.
I see
So,
so
if you guys want the plans to it, I can send them to you.
You got it on your computer?
I do,
Yeah, I'll take a copy of that. Hey, do you got all those pictures on your computer too? I'd like to send, I'd like,
Everything
those
that
pictures.
I just showed you guys is all in PowerPoint, and I can send it to you if you want.
yeah, I'd love to see that.
Sure. Thank you.
If
And
you
I-
wanna see in more depth, we can take you to the buildings, that's just some of the pictures.
Yeah.
I know that you can.
Yeah, I guess one thing I didn't, when we talked about the Cottonwood complex, something else to think about that, I don't know, right now, that whole complex, where we have just one county employee out there, Veterans Affairs, is that county employee? So we have
I think that's it.
one county employee, another would be, region would be, Ken and Patty and whoever they have there, so.
So what are you
Every-
talking, Rod?
I'm just saying, there's that whole complex there that, we have that whole complex and the maintenance and the funding, obviously, we're getting, some revenue from that.
I hear you.
But again, when the care facility comes up, I know we did the crisis center and Optima is according to the region funding, but,
And that's, yeah, and I thought about that, yeah.
when you look at that whole complex, that's something we wanna continue with, keeping that whole complex, for us to all take care of and lease out, and do all that.
Or is
We wanna
that
continue to stay
a
in that
place
business?
that we can, move some administrative offices to?
That's an option.
We're just
Yeah, do you keep it, do you move some administration offices there? Do you sell the complex and move one or two people, find spots somewhere
We'd
else?
be for
them?
figuring that out, if we need it, or if not, do we need to unload it? I mean, I think those are good questions.
Like I said, it's just, this kind of was a whole thing, just kind of show you a little bit of everything, throw some things out there and get you to think about a few things here and there. Because at some point, I think we really need to sit down and think about those and work towards a direction.
The roofs,
Obviously with, I think Cottonwood Complex, the health department.
Watch
Some of
this,
those
watch
things
this.
really
Hey, Tom,
need to
can we afford it?
No.
Hey, Thomas.
Smiling at the TV.
Hey, Tom, you won't look at me now. Thomas, I can't win. I can't keep playing this game, man.
I'm not used to that question. Mrs. Broker never asked me that.
The other thing is.
Of course, we've only been married for 44 years, so.
There's a lot of concrete that's starting to have problems. All the roofs have all those problems that we just keep fixing that need to be redone.
Yeah, no.
And there's,
So there's some expenses out there that we're gonna be
Yeah.
taking care of, or it's gonna need to be taken care of at some point, so.
Or we
I
just
say
tear
this
it all
isn't
down and
really-
that's where our new administrative office building is.
you're leaving it.
So some short-term things that we got going on that we need to take care of, some long-term things to think about and, to look at and take care of, so. You guys ever have any questions, or if you all wanna sometime go on a tour and take you to each one of these places and look at them or do anything?
I'd be down for seeing some of the stuff. I was gonna bust you up for bringing up the Tiger Grant stuff and taking more time, but I'm glad you did. It was illuminating, but yeah, I'd like to see a couple of things, but I don't think we need to set up an all-dayer for that. I can just get with you, but I do wanna go down and see the boiler room too. I'd have to go to the fifth floor.
Just whenever, feel free to let me know. We're usually available. I'm saying, we got a lot
We'll
going
pick a
on,
nice
like I
day.
say, we're adding some more square footage and all that out, the health department, you know, we've added DHS to some of our stuff, so it's another thing for us, you know, to think about too, especially with the health department coming up, budget coming up. You know, we have 2 trucks with snow plows, that's another whole area we're gonna need to take care of. I mean, right now it's pretty easy, it's just right here. We got 2 little sidewalks and a little parking lot. It's right here, we can get to it fairly quick when it's out there. It's gonna take more time, so we can separate ourselves all out, but we may need to look at maybe trading that brown truck in and getting a different truck with another plow. I mean,
Can we afford it, Tom?
Well, if it's just,
maybe.
snow
even
we're
some-
talking about, get a contract with somebody, said this has to be cleaned out in the mornings.
It's
You get
not
more than an
just
inch.
snow, there's many times that we got Alex and Gage going different ways in trucks and then Rodney, or
Yeah.
vice versa, and I end up just, like, I jump in my truck and run to another building to fix something, cause there's no truck, cause everybody's at a different building.
Well, I think as far as snow removal, that's fine as long as it's an overnight snow.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
But when it starts at
To
5
maintain.
o'clock in the morning and it doesn't end until 5 at night, those places will do that and they'll come and make sure it's all clear, but you're gonna pay a premium.
Yeah.
Either that or they're gonna clear it out and then we're gonna be in there all day taking care of it anyway. So we might as well just, I mean, if we're gonna be doing that during an all-day snow, we might as well just do the whole thing.
Big, interesting discussion.
And you gotta watch too with whoever you contract with, some of
Ain't
those
no
places, you get what you pay for.
I was about to say, I'll leave it at that.
and some
Oh,
of them-
I'm-
Some of them don't have the I don't know, I
No,
guess I'm pretty mean, I have kind of a high expectation.
Just leave it alone, Rod, we know where you're going. We know where
About
you're
getting
going.
stuff cleaned off and clear for everybody, so nobody falls. That same,
Not
I'm not
everybody
sure
has that
there's
same-
not many contractors that's gonna have that same expectation, because they got a lot of counts they gotta get in and get out. They're not gonna clear things
They're
off
not gonna be
like
worried
we do.
about nobody suing us. They're just gonna get their stuff done and.
They cleared it. They cleared it. It's still snowing, not our problem. So, I don't know. I agree. I mean, yeah, it would be nice to contract some of that out and take a little, take some load off of us, but I'm not sure at the end of the day that's maybe the best
Do you
interest
have
either.
somebody for emergencies?
I don't have.
No, do you have any? Okay.
We just come in earlier, depends on what it is.
So actually, I'm gonna be gone like the last week of December. I already talked to you. I feel bad because it's in prime winter. I don't know what we're gonna do if we get a snow. So maybe we can recruit an IT guy or somebody from conservation to help us if we need be. Because I mean, there's only 4 of us. If one of us is down, somebody's on vacation, Like, I'm gonna be gone, what if one of them's sick? That leaves 2 people to clear everything off.
See, we need some cross-training, IT, is that what we need?
Or supervisors, however you look at it, I mean.
I'm looking at buying a new torch
I took you out
backpack,
around
so I can just
shovel.
walk down the sidewalks and melt it all.
There you
Just
go.
heat it up, somebody come behind you with a little salt blower.
Yeah.
So we have those same challenges other departments do with sometimes being really short-staffed, so we'll just do the best we can, just like everybody else does, but
Are you guys still shoveling Broker's house, or is he doing that himself now? I've gotta go, are we done with this? I've gotta get out of here. I don't think he likes me, but you know what, Tom, I love you, man, I really do.
anyway, thank you guys for the time, appreciate it. So if you have any questions, let me know.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thanks, Rodney, thanks, Jack.
Thanks for waking up, Jeff.
I will send those plans and the PowerPoint to you guys so you all have it and take a look at it.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Hey. Hey, come on now. Don't be like that. Come on now.
Trash can?
We had one up here somewhere.
Behind their desks.
Oh, he was hiding.
Yeah.
Got some, if you wanted to see some of the pure facility inspection pictures, I'd show them to you.
Send him to me too.
Yeah, is that rain still going, or is that the, I was thinking it was that radiator.
The radiator was pumping, yeah.